indoor champion in the 60 meters. Covered it in 6.58 seconds. This rivalry is back in business with a booming kickoff by Chandler. The junior from Jacksonville drove it through the end zone with a pretty good breeze at his back. That 9-mile-per-hour wind at the back of the Gators in the first quarter. Here's T. Martin, still undefeated as the Tennessee starting quarterback with a record of 14-0. And that's the winning streak the Volunteers put on the line here tonight. He had an impressive opener this season against Wyoming. The senior from Mobile, Alabama, 6'3", 215 pounds. Opens with Philip Crosby, the fullback, offset in front of Jamal Lewis. They come out throwing. Martin dumps it off for Jamal Lewis. He sidestepped the tackler, and he gets spun down at the 25-yard line by Benny Alexander and Marquand Manuel. The offense around T. Martin, it's Lewis and Crosby in the backfield. Crosby primarily a blocker. Cedric Wilson has become the main threat out wide, with David Martin a big target and John Finlayson the tight end. A veteran offensive line, Chad Clifton and Spencer Riley, our team captain. Fred Weary, a converted defensive lineman. Posey Coleman, an All-American candidate, and Josh Tucker, a first-year starter this year as a senior. To the ground game and a first down for Lewis, and he fumbled the football. Jamal Lewis coughed it up at the 33. And Florida got it back, or Tennessee got it back. Marquand Manuel stripped the ball. But that's been a big problem, as Todd mentioned earlier, for Jamal Lewis. 9 fumbles in his last 13 games.
Well, he fumbled twice in the opener against Wyoming. They made a conscious effort for him to protect the football in these 2 weeks leading up to it. But you can see it just gets knocked out, a little careless carrying the football. But Jamal Lewis heads up to fall on the loose football.
So it's a first down. Philip Fulmer gave Lewis the game ball after the win over Wyoming. He said in part because he earned it, in part because I wanted to carry it around and get a firmer handle. Nice move through traffic. And Lewis is about 2 yards short of another first down out at the 42-yard line. Eugene McCaslin made the primary tackle with help from Manuel. The entire front seven from last year for Florida is gone. The new front four, Derek Chambers, Buck Gurley, Gerard Warren, and Alex Brown. 3 new linebackers, Keith Kelsey, Andra Davis, and Eugene McCaslin, a converted running back. And 4 sophomores start in the secondary. Benny Alexander, the only returning starter on defense, with Manuel, Norwood, and Cromartie.
You know, I got to tell you, Sean, I love this too, what Philip Fulmer just did. Jamal Lewis put the ball on the ground, something he's had a problem doing, but the very next play they come back and give him the football again. He is the stud of this Tennessee offense, and that's a great message that Philip Fulmer sent to his tailback and to his football team right there.
There was a personal foul tacked on to the end of the play against Florida, so the balls are in Florida territory. And Martin wings it to the near side, incomplete, through the hands of Cedric Wilson. And let's go back and see if we can unveil the late hit. We believe it was a late hit on T. Martin.
Well, that's Alex Brown. I think T. Martin needs to get a tighter chin strap because he got his helmet knocked off in the game against Wyoming as well. Alex Brown trying to send a little message himself, but you don't want to do that and give up the 15 yards, particularly when your defense has already struggled in the first 2 football games. Make Tennessee earn everything they get.
One problem for Tennessee frequently in this rivalry in the 90s have been falling behind early. On the delay, Lewis hit in the backfield and dropped. Eugene McCaslin made the first hit. Knocked Lewis off balance. It's a loss. Back to the 47-yard line. 3rd down and long upcoming for Tennessee.
Eugene McCaslin still feeling his way into the new position. He was the 2nd leading rusher on the Florida football team last year as a tailback. Moved over to linebacker this year. He's got great quickness and speed. You could see how quickly he was into the backfield that time to trip up Jamal Lewis.
Even though Florida won its first 2 games over lesser opponents, the defense really struggled. Gave up 865 yards of total offense in the 2 wins to their opponents, and there was movement, as you saw, along the right end of the Tennessee offensive line. So the Volunteers are retreating back to their side of midfield.
Florida wants to give a lot of different looks.
Dead ball foul. Ball start on the offense. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
John Hoke does not want to give Tennessee a lot of the same looks. The defensive coordinator, the new one for Florida, that time they were faking blitz, and it caused a little some jittery nerves up there by the Tennessee offensive line. You're going to see a lot of movement by the front seven of Florida tonight in the ball game.
3 wide receivers as Eric Parker, number 80, comes on the field to join Cedric Wilson and David Martin out wide. Lots of time for T. Martin. Throws to the far sideline, too high. Looking for Cedric Wilson. Robert Cromartie had the coverage. Cedric Wilson, one of several players on both sides, Todd, who are involved in an incredible amount of trash talking in all the hype leading up to tonight's game.
Well, the decibel level went up twice as much this week because Tennessee won last year. In the years previous, the only team doing any trash talking was Florida. This year, both teams got in on the act, and as you said, Cedric Wilson, one of the ringleaders in that.
He said playing in the swamp was just like playing in Lexington, Kentucky against the Wildcats. David Leverton is the punter. Travis Taylor back for it. He lets it sail over his head into the end zone. A 52-yard kick into the wind, but a little more than Tennessee would have liked as the ball will come out to the 20. And Florida goes on offense. Florida Gators about to begin their first possession with Doug Johnson, the senior at quarterback. He is firmly the #1 quarterback this season after being in and out as a starter over the previous 2 years, and he's piled up some big numbers in the wins over Western Michigan and Central Florida. Play action pass on first down. Johnson hit after he threw. Too high. Looking for Darrell Jackson. Pressure applied by Sean Ellis, one of the best pass rushers in the Southeastern Conference, the defensive left end, number 93. The rest of the Gator offense around Johnson. Ernest Graham back in action this year after a foot injury sidelined him last season. With Rob Roberts, Travis Taylor, and Darrell Jackson, the wideouts, and Aaron Kinney, the tight end. A veteran offensive line. They are without starting center Zach Sedalis. Corey Yarborough plays there. Kenyatta Walker is an All-American candidate at right tackle. 2nd and 10. And movement along the offensive line from Kenyatta Walker. Just as we go touting him as an All-American candidate, he flinched.
Well, there's going to be some jumpiness early, no question.
Foul, false start on the offense, 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
Kenyatta Walker right here on the bottom of your screen. A lot of movement by Tennessee trying to confuse the offensive line up front. Kenyatta Walker a little bit early, and he talked about the trash talk, and he was one of the guys exchanging some barbs with Sean Ellis this week. When he played Sean Ellis last year, that was his first start as a right tackle for Florida. Young player. Wanted to put forth a better effort tonight against Tennessee.
Trying to extend their home winning streak to 30 in a row. The 29 straight at home, the longest current home winning streak in the nation. The pass too high. Intended for Travis Taylor. Andre Lott, in his first year as a starting cornerback, had the coverage. The Tennessee defense strong up front with Ellis and Overstreet. Excellent pass rushers and big defensive tackles to stop the run. Dominique Stevenson, a question on the defense as he moves in for Al Wilson, who's on to the NFL. Deion Grant, one of the best safeties in the country. Dwayne Goodrich, the returning all-conference quarterback. The other corner is Lott, who was their 3rd cornerback last year. And Lott says he expects to be picked on by Steve Spurrier tonight.
Blitz coming outside.
It's picked up. Johnson throws. Taylor has work to do for a first down. He's short. On 3rd down and 15, he got 14. Andre Lott stopped Travis Taylor just shy of the necessary yardage.
Travis Taylor is a pretty big physical receiver at 6'1", nearly 200 pounds, and he feels like he can get those extra yards, but that time a good tackle after the catch prevented Taylor from using his strength to get the first down.
Steve Spurrier told us yesterday in practice he was working with Travis Taylor. He said when you catch the ball before you turn upfield, you might want to make a little move on those hitch passes. He said, I'll just drag the defender with me. That's the confidence Taylor has in his strength. David Wazalewski is on to punt, but a timeout has been called by Florida.
Well, they only had 10 guys on the punt team. Special teams just as important as offense and defense.
No score early in the first quarter in games.
Both teams forced to punt in their first offensive possession. Right here, Anthony Mitchell, the reason that Florida had to burn a timeout. 5th-year senior defensive lineman not on the field for the punt team. He was one of the 2 guys serving a 2-game suspension. And that's Lawson Holland's special teams coach getting an earful from Steve Spurrier. Special teams, very, very important in big ball games like this.
Eric Parker waiting for the punt from Wasilewski. He was a little bit shaky in the season opener. Steve Spurrier said he's the best they have at catching it, getting it off quickly. He did it that time. A low line drive kick. Eric Parker with a good return. Nearly 15 yards on the run back after a 43-yard punt. Andre Davis made the tackle. Let's check in for an update with Tim Brando.
All right, Sean, Alabama against Louisiana Tech. Give the Bulldogs some credit. They barely lost to Florida State in the first half, came back strong in the second. Ken Gelosi takes in this pass from Stallworth, who had replaced the All-America candidate Tim Rattay. With 4th down and only 2 seconds left, they beat Alabama 29-28.
Wow, what a wild day it's been. Games involving SEC teams. Tim will have much more on that at halftime. On first down from the 43, it's Jamal Lewis for very little, perhaps a yard. For the junior from Atlanta, who went out in the 4th game last season against Auburn with a knee injury. And he looked on as the Tennessee Volunteers went on to the national championship. Many have said Tennessee was lucky with some of the things that happened along the way last year. But as Philip Fulmer said, if we were that lucky, we wouldn't have lost our best offensive player for the season in the 4th game. That was a devastating blow, which they overcame. Here's Lewis running right. Good blocking on the corner. And he delivered a hit to Marquand Manuel, who's wearing a bandana. His helmet came flying off. You're not allowed to wear a bandana in college football this season. And I wonder if there's a flag on the play. His helmet came off, and that bandana was in clear view.
Well, he better, if he's going to keep wearing that bandana, he better put some super glue on it, too, to keep the helmet on, because watch the hit that Jamal Lewis puts on Manuel. Jamal Lewis is so incredibly powerful. He bench presses 450 pounds. He's stronger than he was a year ago. He's a diligent worker in the offseason, and he put the wood to the strong safety, Marquand Manuel.
You can wear the bandana if it's hidden and you get away with it, but if the officials see it, it's going to be called, and a timeout has been charged to Florida.
Yep, you're right.
As a result of the exposed bandana.
Last year was the socks they came down on, and this year it's the bandanas.
Apparently the reason that's a point of emphasis this year is bandanas from time to time have a connection with gangs, and college football is trying to disassociate itself any kind of connection with gang activity. Marquand Manuel, don't know the reasons why he wears the bandana, but he should know better. That's something that the Southeastern Conference officials in the preseason have stressed to these teams.
If there's any question about whether these two teams are physical football teams, I think it's been answered here very early. We've seen 2 helmet-losing hits already in the ballgame. T. Martin lost one on the hit by Alex Brown, and Marquand Manuel lost it with the collision that time with Jamal Lewis. This is a physical football game so far.
3rd down and 1 for Tennessee at the Florida 48-yard line. No score, 4.5 minutes play. Lewis hit behind the line of scrimmage by Eugene McCaslin, and he's short of a first down. A loss on the play. Back to the 49-yard line. And now it'll be 4th down and a long 2, and Philip Fulmer is going to punt.
For what McCaslin lacks in experience as a linebacker, he makes up for in quickness. You see how quick he was off the ball. They were trying to cut him off with a wide receiver, David Martin, and that wasn't a good enough effort as McCaslin got into the backfield and made the play.
David Leverton, the junior from Midland, Texas, boomed a 52-yarder into the end zone on his first kick of the night. This one shorter and returnable for Travis Taylor. From the 15, and he goes backwards to the 12. Swarmed under by several Volunteers, including Derek Edmonds. Will Bartholomew, the first to hit Taylor. No score in the swamp. Sean McDonough with Todd Blackledge back in the swamp in Gainesville. No score. Tennessee's had the ball twice and has punted twice, and now it's Florida on offense for the 2nd time. And the first running play to Ernest Graham goes for very little. Perhaps a yard, and that's all for the redshirt freshman from Cape Coral, Florida, in the Fort Myers area. He was stacked up by Billy Ratliff and Eric Westmoreland.
And this Florida offense was really good. They've been able to run the football. Last year, they finished 95th in the country, only averaged about 115 yards per game. They think they've got that fixed this year with Ernest Graham. They've also put more attention to it on their offensive line all through spring, all through summer. But they've got to run the football for this offense to be effective.
4 wide receivers. Darrell Jackson, the motion man. Johnson throws the fade to Travis Taylor. Out of bounds at midfield. Taken out by Deion Grant. He beat Andre Lott on the coverage. As we said, Lott expected to be picked on early. And the Gators are coming right after him.
Great throw by Doug Johnson. This offense is so much timing and precision, and to watch them work on the practice field going against air is really impressive. But one thing that Travis Taylor does that helps him on this play is he takes a short split. You see the timing, very quick. Don't let the rush get to you. Look at all the wide field that Taylor has to work with where the ball can be thrown. Short split, throw the ball out wide. Defender has no chance against that play.
From the 50-yard line, 1st and 10 for Florida. Play clock down to 1 as Johnson takes the snap out of the shotgun. And his pass is deflected. He was looking again for Travis Taylor, but Billy Ratliff got a hand up and knocked it down. And it'll be 2nd down and 10.
As inexperienced as the Florida defense is, there's a lot of experience on the Florida offense, particularly up front. They've got 3 fifth-year senior guys that are in there playing. Kenyatta Walker, the youngest guy up there, but there's some experience on that offensive line, and it's showing so far in pass protecting against this Tennessee defense.
Ryan Kalick, the left guard, making his 33rd career start today. Man open. Darrell Jackson juggles. Tries to elude Goodrich. And Goodrich took him out at the 9-yard line. 1st and goal, Florida, after a gain of 41.
Wayne Goodrich is the best cornerback on this team, one of the best in the country. You don't stay away from great corners, you attack them, and one of the best ways to do it is to go out and up or hitch and go. Watch Darrell goes on the hitch and go, the little pump fake by the quarterback, and Goodrich was looking at the quarterback, Doug Johnson, and that allowed Jackson to get by him. A lot of times teams try to stay away from the best corner and only attack the other side, but if they're very aggressive players, you can get them on plays like that.
Florida uncharacteristically poor in the red zone last year. Scored touchdowns just 44% of the time. It averaged 70% under Spurrier prior to last year. Ernest Graham should improve that number just by his presence, Todd, because one of the things they were lacking when they got close last year, they didn't have a power back who could punch it in.
It gives them another option, and so much of when an offense like Florida tries to spread your defense out with formation, if you put more numbers out to cover the pass, they need to run the football. But if you can't run the football effectively against the numbers that favor the running game, you've got a lot of problems. Steve
Spurrier's team almost perfect at home in the swamp in the 90s against Tennessee, went in the red zone. 17 touchdowns and 1 field goal and 18 red zone opportunities against the Vols. The play clock running out again.
They got to get it off.
Johnson just did. Looks to the end zone. He threw it away over the head of Darrell Jackson.
Well, I think he had Travis Taylor, too, on the quick post. He had 3 receivers to the same side, and it looked to me like Travis Taylor flashed open first, heading towards the back of the end zone, but Johnson not able to pick him up.
Doug now 3 out of 6. He's had 2 long completions. They go to 5 wide receivers on 3rd down and goal. From the 6-yard line. Johnson throws to the end zone too high.
Had him.
Went through the hands of Darrell Jackson. That's reminiscent of the first quarter last year in Knoxville when the ball went off Travis Taylor's hands in the end zone on 1 possession inside the 10-yard line. Yeah, this very similar to this.
That's on Doug Johnson, though. He's got to get that ball down to the numbers. They got exactly what they want, and just a little too much adrenaline going through his body right now. He's got to take a little bit off of it. Steve knew he had a touchdown there, and he hates to settle for field goal attempts.
This will be a 23-yard try for Jeff Chandler out of the hold of Billy Young, and that kick is good. Last year in Knoxville, in the first 8 minutes of the game, Florida was twice inside the 5-yard line and settled for just 3 points. They had a fumble on the goal line and kicked the field goal, and that was a key factor later on. Back in Gainesville, where Jeff Chandler's 23-yard field goal has given Florida the first points of the game. Tomorrow here on CBS, NFL doubleheader action. Among the early games, Oakland and Minnesota, Jacksonville and Carolina, Indianapolis trying to make it 2-0 at New England. And in the late games, Denver's at Kansas City trying to rebound from its opening loss to Miami. It all begins with the NFL Today, presented by Southwest Airlines. Chandler kicks off. Leonard Scott lets that one drift by. We're pleased to welcome in the other member of our broadcast team, Michelle Tafoya.
All right, Sean. Well, Florida's inexperienced defense playing pretty well so far. Maybe it was this fax that new defensive coordinator John Hogue got yesterday from his brother Brady, who's the defensive line coach at Michigan, by the way. He said he'd share this page with his players. Blame nobody, expect nothing, do something. And so far, they've done something. And a little personal note from his brother on the second page. It says, good luck and kick there. I can't make out the rest, Sean. Back to you.
I think you can, but you realize it's prime time, Michelle. We appreciate the omission. Will Bartholomew now the fullback in front of Jamal Lewis. Quick pass from T. Martin on the money to Cedric Wilson. He shakes his way out near the first down, about 2 yards short. Time now for the Sun America Virtual Playbook.
Tackle early in the game, but late in the game, they don't like tackling number 31.
Second and short. Lewis running right. And he's run to the right with success. Here in the first quarter, Keith Kelsey made the tackle. The outside linebacker had help from Marquand Manuel.
The ISO weak is the play that Tennessee runs more than any other play. It's just power football. They lead with the fullback on the play side linebacker, the center and the guard, double team the nose tackle and get off on the backside backer. And what they want to do is they want to try to make the two safeties have to come up and tackle Jamal Lewis. He's 235 pounds. They might come up there with a full head of steam in the first quarter. But their thinking is by the fourth quarter, they don't want to mess with 31 anymore.
First and 10. Tennessee at its own 36-yard line. Play action pass. And the pass caught by Bartholomew. And the fullback got belted down by Robert Cromartie, the sophomore from East Point, Georgia, who was a high school teammate and is a very good friend of the Vols' Jamal Lewis.
When you want to throw or run so much power football with your fullback leading, you got to throw him a bone every now and then. That's what this is, a little pass to the fullback, but a nice hit by Cromartie, a much smaller man, but Bartholomew obviously didn't know where the hit was coming from.
Marty saw a lot of action in the game at Knoxville last year. He played almost the entire second half, and Tony George got hurt. Second down and 7. Straight ahead, Lewis. First down and more. Late flag thrown. Might be for a face mask. 17 yards on the gain. Let's check out the flag thrown as they were trying to tackle Lewis near the 47-yard line. Lester Norwood finally did make the tackle.
During the run, holding on the offense. 10-yard penalty.
I didn't see anybody in a white shirt of Tennessee near where that flag was thrown.
We talked about the ISO weak on the virtual replay. This is the same play to the tight end side. The fullback is going to lead up, double team here, coming off on the backside backer, and then let Jamal Lewis run to the safeties. Watch the fullback lead on the linebacker. Jamal Lewis has the ability to break tackles and then run by people. And there's the hold on Eric Parker, wide receiver, trying to help his running back out down the field.
So it backs them up to the 43-yard line. Travis Henry, the ball carrier. He comes in to give Lewis a rest, and he was the man who filled in so admirably along with Travis Stevens last year at tailback after Lewis went down with the knee injury. Henry stepped in, wound up rushing for 970 yards last year, had 5 games of 100+ yards.
And a very similar runner to Jamal Lewis, also a very powerful runner. In fact, Travis Henry and Ernest Graham of Florida remind me they're almost the identical running back. 220 pounds, built low to the ground, very hard to tackle.
3rd down and 1. Bartholomew, the fullback. Martin down the line with the play. Movement along the line, but no flags, and a 1st down. Travis Henry back across midfield to the 47-yard line. Keith Kelsey chopped him down.
One of the things I really like about T. Martin, Sean, is his poise. He's got a great presence about him. Did a nice job on this short yardage play, checking off, making sure everybody was under the same page on the play, and then did a nice job of not panicking when he couldn't pitch the ball right away. He held on to it a little extra second to make sure the fullback cleared, and they got the 1st down easily.
He didn't do much in their win against Florida last year, but he was in his 2nd game as the starting quarterback, taking over for Peyton Manning. Now he's in his 15th game, and he's 14-0, playing with a lot more confidence. And on the money there to Cedric Wilson. Stopped short of a 1st down at the 42-yard line by Robert Cromartie.
Well, Florida is going to attack Andre Lott on the corner, and Tennessee, it's obvious, is going to come after Robert Cromartie. He really struggled in the opening game against Western Michigan and had to fight to hold on to his job against the true freshman Lito Shepherd. But Cromartie came back and had a good week of practice, played well against Central Florida last week. But clearly, Tennessee feels like they can attack number 25.
2nd down and 5. Florida leads 3-0. Under 5 minutes left in the 1st quarter. Fake to Travis Henry, and Alex Brown has the sack.
Chad Clifton, their great left tackle, never got out of his stance on Alex Brown. Watch him. He's still looking at the football, and by the time he turns around, Alex Brown is already by him. It's hard to hear. Clifton is looking in at the football to know when to start into the play, and by that time, Alex Brown was around him with his quickness.
Team high 4th sack of the year for Brown, a sophomore from White Springs, Florida, who did not start the opener against Western Michigan. The coaches are trying to send him a message. He needs to play harder. Blitz, Martin down again. Eugene McCaslin.
Here comes the pressure right here. Watch how fast McCaslin is getting in there. He looks like he was shot out of a gun. Comes all alone. There's somebody assigned to him, but they did a nice job of disguising the blitz, and Travis Henry couldn't pick him up.
Flag down as Tennessee was lining up to punt. One of the criticisms,
Sideline warning, Florida. Sideline warning, 1st warning.
They'll need to back away from the sideline and give the officials room. One of the criticisms the coaching staff of Florida had about Eugene McCaslin the last 3 years when he was a running back was that sometimes they didn't feel like he ran very hard. But John Hoke said on defense, he's become a real tough guy. He loves to hit people. Maybe it's better when you're the hitter and not the hittee.
A very physical player so far in the ball game tonight, and again, his quickness is his greatest asset right now at linebacker.
David Leverton with a flag down. Good high nose-up spiral. They're going to blow the play dead. The punt will not stand. Steve Shaw leading the Southeastern Conference officiating crew.
Dead ball foul. Ball start on the offense. 5-yard penalty. 4th down.
You know, so much has been said down here in Gainesville the last couple weeks. What's wrong with the defense? They're giving up so many yards. We got real problems on defense, and you just had to believe that they were going to play better defense tonight. John Hoke was very vanilla in the first 2 games trying to teach. He's got young players, but by no means was this defensive football team left with the cupboard empty. They lost some great players, but they got some good athletes behind them.
That's true. They're young and inexperienced, but they do have a lot of talent. There's a low punt by Leverton, angled to the sideline and out of bounds. No chance for Travis Taylor to run it back. Out of bounds at the 28-yard line. Just a 31-yard punt. Thursday on CBS. Wait till you see what the creator of Ally McBeal and the practice has done to Chicago Hope. Don't miss the season premiere on a brand new night. Thursday on CBS, America's most watched network. Doug Johnson working with a 3-0 lead. 3 minutes left in the first quarter.
And again, Doug's just got to kind of let that adrenaline level go down a little bit. He's been a little bit high throwing the football so far in this first quarter, and that's just because he's got a lot of excited energy going right now.
3 wide receivers and 1 back, and they go to the running play with Ernest Graham, and he slithers out across the 30-yard line. They're going to spot him back inside the 30. Ernest had his first career start at the opener against Western Michigan and rushed for 158 yards. And had a team-high 65 yards in game 2 on just 11 carries against Central Florida.
One of the things Steve Spurrier told us about him when we met with him earlier this week was that he has one little bad habit of trying to reach the football out for extra yardage sometimes too much, and he's dropped the ball on the ground a couple times. They're working hard to get him to break that habit. So far he hasn't shown that in the game.
On second down, quick toss complete to Taylor. Nifty moves in traffic, and he's ankle tackled just as he was about to break away. Billy Ratliff, the defensive tackle, got downfield to trip up Taylor after a gain of 15.
Travis Taylor deserves to be considered among the top receivers to ever play here at Florida. You see the quickness, the ability to make people miss, and what a great hustle play by Billy Ratliff, coming from a defensive tackle position, rushing the quarterback, running downfield and making a play.
Ratliff's players had a lot of injuries, including knee injuries in the course of his career. John Chavis, the defensive coordinator, said if he had been healthy, he would have been one of their best ever. Terrible pass, picked off. You could see that coming, and Mickey Allen certainly did. He picked it off to put Tennessee in business at the Florida 47.
Sean, this is a hard throw to make because you're on the far hash. You're throwing a short out pattern all the way across the field. The ball is in the air so long that a good defensive back has a lot of time to break on the football. This play is going straight to the sideline, and Mickey Allen gets a good jump and gets underneath the football. Watch how far this ball has to travel in the air, and a great play by Mickey Allen. Tough throw to make all the way across the field.
First interception of the season for the senior from Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Reserve safety who comes in nickel and dime situations. Tennessee down by 3. Under 2 minutes left in the first quarter. Jamal Lewis back in at tailback, and he gets nothing. Well, we reiterate the very critical turnover story in the 90s. The team with the most turnovers is 0-7. Last year, Florida outgained Tennessee up at Knoxville in total yardage, but turned it over 5 times.
Tennessee only turned it over 1 time in the ball game, an interception thrown by T. Martin, but that is, there's a lot of statistics in football that you can throw out the window, but turnover margin is one that normally really tells you who wins the football game.
No gain for Lewis on first down. 2nd and 10. Martin, his pass deflected and falls incomplete. Alex Brown tipped it, and he's already been a presence in the Tennessee backfield.
You mentioned earlier, Sean, Alex Brown got a little message sent to him by starting Thaddeus Bullard in the first game, but Alex Brown, the most gifted pass rusher that they have, and he is doing a great job of getting that quick jump off the football and timing his jump that time for the deflection. He's playing a nice football game so far for John Hoke's defense.
Tennessee players have been saying they don't get any respect, even though they won the national championship. Alex Brown said, beat us here, you'll get all the respect you want. Martin on the run, incomplete. Flag down on the play. The intended target, Eric Parker, and Marquand Manuel have the coverage. There is a flag thrown at the line of scrimmage.
Illegal formation on the offense. Penalty is declined. 4th down.
And Philip Fulmer will punt, and here's Michelle.
Well, guys, you talked about the pregame trash talking. After T. Martin said he laughs when teams try to blitz him, Florida defensive end Alex Brown responded, "We bring the house. We're going to hit him and hit him and hit him. We're going to lay the hat on him all night, and it's just going to be a lovely afternoon." So far, he's lived up to it, guys.
Indeed, he has. Leverton punts. Rashay Caldwell, another speedster, back for this one. Made a fair catch with some room at the 15-yard line. If he had it to do over again, he might have tried to run that one back. Want to have the best tailgate party in the lot? Get free shipping on all your favorite team gear, grills, chairs, flags, and more. Go to cbs.sportsline.com or on America Online at keyword CBS Sportsline. Florida has the longest home winning streak in the nation. 29 games in a row here. They haven't lost here since '94 when Auburn beat them. Tennessee, the longest overall winning streak in the nation at 14 straight. Ernest Graham on 1st and 10. Picked up 5 to the 20. Raynoch Thompson and Deion Grant brought him down.
One thing Ernest Graham does a nice job of, he's built low to the ground, and he's powerful, has strong legs, and he's always falling forward. You're not going to see him get knocked back very often. He has good body lean forward, and he's always falling forward for an extra 1 or 2, 3 yards.
That's the help of the gummy bears. He eats gummy bears before every game. Probably not prescribed by the strength and conditioning people. We got nothing that time. Dominique Stevenson and Darwin Walker penetrated the backfield to drop Graham for a loss of 1 on the final play of the first quarter. At the end of the first quarter, the score: Florida 3 and Tennessee nothing. We'll return to Ben Hill Griffin Stadium right after this message and a word from your local station. With the Gators facing 3rd down and 7 at their own 18-yard line. Doug Johnson out of the shotgun. Here comes the blitz. Johnson throws. Incomplete. Intended for Rashay Caldwell. And Dwayne Goodrich had good coverage. And Johnson was under siege in the backfield.
Pressure's going to come on Doug Johnson from right here. He's got to get rid of the ball maybe a little bit earlier than he would like to. Pretty good job of protecting as many as they could, but you could see he couldn't get down on the football. And again, the ball sailing a little bit high on Doug Johnson. That time, just the result of good pressure by Tennessee.
Hunting situation here for David Wazalewski, the sophomore from Tampa. Not a good kick. Off the side of his foot with some backspin, and it stops dead at the 43-yard line. Wazalewski competing for the punter's job with Alan Ryan, a walk-on who they let punt last week against Central Florida. And Ryan did an excellent job punting for an average of 50 yards on 2 punts. So Wazalewski's hold on that position could be tenuous.
I wouldn't be surprised to see T. Martin try to go play action and deep to Cedric Wilson right now. They've run the football. They haven't tried to throw it deep down the field. Now is a perfect chance to do it on 1st and 10.
Philip Crosby, the fullback, in front of Jamal Lewis. Martin steps up to avoid the rush and throws a sinker short of Cedric Wilson. Here's Michelle Tafoya.
Well, you guys, T. Martin was getting some attention from the Tennessee medical staff, the doctors and the trainers. They told me that he has a right AC sprain. That's a sprain basically of the clavicle area on his right side. He is coming back in, obviously. He did get some treatment, but it's something to watch for. Back to you.
And he could not play. That's a big blow to Tennessee because their backup quarterback situation is very unsettled. 2nd down and 10. Florida leads 3-0 in the first minute of the second quarter. 3-step drop and another errant throw. You wonder if that's being affected by the injury. Eric Parker, the target.
Well, he doesn't look comfortable right now throwing the football on those last 2 throws, and this might be the reason why. You see the hit by Alex Brown right up in the shoulder area, then a low hit by Eugene McCaslin. T. Martin has taken a few shots, that time down right on the right shoulder, and that may have been where he hurt it on that play right there, going down to the ground on his right shoulder.
3rd down and 10 from the Florida 42.
Great protection.
And now Martin shows his running ability. Got hammered again as he went into the slide, short of a first down at the 35-yard line. He's about 3 yards short. And Tennessee does not have a proven field goal kicker this year, unlike the last 4 when Jeff Hall was one of the most dependable kickers in the country.
3rd down and long. Tennessee gets great protection here because there's only a 4-man rush, actually only a 3-man rush. And you can see T. Martin has a little seam right here to run the football. Good coverage down the field, nowhere to go with the football, but he couldn't pick up the first down.
Tennessee has called a timeout with 4th and 3 upcoming for the Volunteers. Tennessee is going for it on 4th down and 3 at the Florida 35. Martin threw it right into the hands of Alex Brown. He picked it off.
Sean, normally in a situation like that, I think Tennessee would run a bootleg or a sprint out with T. Martin, giving him a run-pass option. But if his shoulder is bothering him, they may not have wanted to take the chance on that. And Alex Brown continues to have a huge game. This time, you tell a defensive end, if you can't get to the quarterback, watch him and get up in the air and get your hands up. This time, not only does he get his hands on the football, he pulls it down for an interception.
I think last year with Jeff Hall as the kicker, Philip Fulmer might have tried about a 52-yard field goal with a strong breeze at his back. But their kicking situation unproven this year. What a hit. And that's the kind of pass that'll get the receiver killed. Rob Roberts took the blow from Eric Westmoreland on a high throw from Doug Johnson.
We said at the top, T. Martin doesn't throw many interceptions, only his 3rd in his last 211 attempts. He's usually very smart with the football, and that wasn't a bad decision. They had a little one-on-one pattern. Alex Brown just made a great athletic play from his defensive end position. You can't really fault T. Martin for making that throw. Give the credit to Alex Brown.
2nd and 10, Florida. On the inside handoff, it's Ernest Graham. They're jumping on the pile as if the ball came out. The Volunteers say that it did.
Referees are pointing down, though.
Don Henderson and Eric Westmoreland combined on the stop. Really no firm signal yet from the officials.
Balls are pointing up, and the referees are pointing down. So that the guys in the striped shirts usually win that.
It will be Florida's ball, and 3rd down and 8 upcoming.
Take a look at the end of this play. Ernest Graham. Is he down before the ball? That's a fumble. The ball clearly came out before the knee was down. Of course, a lot easier to see at that speed as well.
Johnson throws behind Rashay Caldwell. The redshirt freshman couldn't haul it in, and Johnson's been a little bit off target here in the first quarter, plus 2 minutes of the second. He's 4 for 13 passing now, 108 yards, and they are going to make the change at punter. Wazalewski, after a short one last time out, given the hook, and here's Alan Ryan, a junior walk-on, who's also played as an infielder on the Gator baseball team. His father Jack was once the head baseball coach here at Florida. Allen's a junior from Sebring, Florida. Twice last week. That's a beauty. High, and it drives Eric Parker back to the 17-yard line. He was tripped up on an ankle tackle, stumbled forward to the 39-yard line. 48-yard punt and a 23-yard return.
Reports, Mr. Tillman and I will get you caught up on an unbelievable day of college football. A lot of surprises, including Cincinnati beating Wisconsin. This Deontay Killer touchdown had a lot to do with it. Now, back to your game.
Back at the Swamp, Florida leads 3-0 on a Jeff Chandler 23-yard field goal in the first quarter. It's time for tonight's Aflac trivia question. Who was the Tennessee captain the last time Tennessee defeated Florida here in Gainesville? Travis Henry, the tailback. He stumbled over the backside of his lead blocker, the fullback, Will Bartholomew. Credit Andre Davis with the tackle.
Great play by Andre Davis. Just really stuffed that thing in there. Took on 2 blockers and tripped up the ball carrier in the process.
Well, he identified rushing totals and the turnovers as the keys to victory in the 90s in this rivalry. Tennessee has outgained Florida 50-10 on the ground. Each team has turned it over once. Travis Henry remains the tailback, following Bartholomew. Not for very long. Lester Norwood came up from his safety position to put a pop on the ball carrier. A very late flag thrown into the pile. And there's also another flag in the middle of the field in the secondary.
That was not an easy tackle that Lester Norwood made, because number one, Travis Henry is not an easy guy to tackle at 220 pounds, and Lester Norwood has been struggling some. John Hoke said he really hasn't played very well in the first 2 games, but this is a play that's going to make his defensive coordinator happy. Good form tackle, stays right with it, waits for some help, but stays in great position to make the play.
Norwood's a sophomore from Marietta, Georgia. Ball carrier probably does not want to get near Lester, as he's worn the same T-shirt under his uniform since 1992.
Dead ball, personal foul on the defense. Dead ball, unsportsmanlike on the offense. The penalty's offset. It will be 3rd down.
Well, you know you've done something when you make both coaches angry.
And that's a new rule this year. It used to be if you had the offsetting penalties, you would mark them both off and then play the down. Now, if they're dead ball penalties and they're the same kind of penalty, it's just like the NFL. They neutralize each other and you play the down.
3rd down and 8. Jamal Lewis back in the game. T. Martin running out of room and down. Back at the line of scrimmage, it's Eugene McCaslin again.
Florida is doing a real nice job of confusing T. Martin a little bit with zone blitzes. Normally, when you're a quarterback and you feel a blitz coming, you think automatically man-to-man coverage. But this is a zone. That's why T. Martin had to pull the football down. There's blitz for pressure, but it's zone coverage down the field.
David Leverton to punt again. Rashae Caldwell waits for it. Good kick. High, allows the coverage to get downfield, and Caldwell is tripped up immediately. Derek Edmonds, first out on special teams to cover a 39-yard punt. Florida leads 3-0 in the 2nd quarter in Gainesville.
It feels like country. Join Shania Twain, Dixie Chicks, Tim McGraw, and Faith Hill performing live. Woo! Vince Gill hosts the CMA's Live CBS Wednesday.
Legendary fan George Edmondson leading the fans in a cheer here at the Swamp. Doug Johnson off target early on, but the Gators lead 3-0. Robert Gillespie in at tailback. Johnson going deep into coverage, and it's incomplete. Darrell Jackson was well defended on the play by Andre Lott. And some woofing there. Sunday on 60 Minutes. If you think today's public schools can't educate children the way they did when you went to school, watch the premiere of another season of 60 Minutes Sunday. Then Amy Brenneman and Ty Daly star in the series premiere of Judging Amy, followed by the CBS Sunday movie Sealed with a Kiss, starring John Stamos and Annabeth Gish. That's all Sunday on CBS. 2 tight ends now as Kirk Wells joins Aaron Kinney. Johnson straight back, throws on the money that time. A flag down in the secondary. Darrell Jackson lost the football after picking up a first down. And the Vols got it. But what is the penalty? Andre Lott came up with the football, but the flag was thrown near Jackson right after he made the catch.
It may be offensive pass interference. Jackson pushing off of Andre Lott. I think that's what the call is going to be.
Pass interference on the offense. That penalty is declined. It's going to be 1st down, Tennessee.
So another key turnover. It was the undoing of Spurrier's team in Knoxville last year. And it's the 2nd time they've handed the ball over to the Volunteers tonight.
We said they were going to pick on Andre Lott. Watch Daryl Jackson push off Andre Lott to give himself some space for the football, and the referee right on it. A good call, and then to add insult to injury, he doesn't protect the football and gives Tennessee great field position.
Dominique Stevenson forced the fumble. Andre Lott recovered, and Tennessee is at the Florida 32. The pitch to Jamal Lewis. Big hole. First down. That ball came out. The helmet's loose for Eugene McCaslin, but Lewis was down by contact at the 15. We've seen balls on the ground, helmets flying off, and a lot of penalty flags here in the first half.
This is what Tennessee does best. Power football, running behind the fullback, leading Philip Crosby. Look at this. Man blocked here, man blocked here, man blocked, and a nice seam again for Jamal Lewis. And I'm telling you, defensive backs do not like to tackle Jamal Lewis because he's so powerful.
Another flag. This has been a penalty-filled game.
On the offense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
Substitution violation. Another point of emphasis this year about the number of men you can have in the huddle and when you can have players going on and off the field. Randy Sanders is the man with his fingers up against his head in the distance. The youthful offensive coordinator took that position for the Fiesta Bowl. What a way to break in the national championship game. He took over for David Cutcliffe when David left to go to Ole Miss as head coach. Randy called the plays in their national championship victory over Florida State. Now he has the job to start the season for the first time. Martin throws it away. And he went crashing.
You know what? That's a good call. It's a late call by the officials, but that was clearly a late hit by Keith Kelsey on the sidelines. Knocked T. Martin almost into the seats, and T. Martin is down. This was an unnecessary play by Keith Kelsey. The ball had been clearly thrown, and T. Martin took a great shot on the sideline.
Already with the injured clavicle. Here's John Hoke, the defensive coordinator, who moved in front of Steve Spurrier to communicate with his defense. The young and inexperienced defense, sometimes you can get a little overzealous.
Well, here's the play at the end. It's good coverage. It's good defense by Florida. T. Martin has nowhere to go with the football. But watch at the end, after the ball is thrown, number 41 is going to come into your picture and deliver the shot. See the ball clearly thrown. It wasn't a bad hit. You know what? T. Martin went right into, I don't know if that was a camera down there on the sidelines, but I don't think the hit from Kelsey hurt him as much as what he slid into when he went to the sideline. It looks like he got hit in the mouth or in the chin or.
Yeah, you could see as he went to the ground, his head snapped up.
Yeah.
His chin bounced up as if his chin made contact with something that was along the ground on that sideline.
Take a look at what happens to T after he goes out.
Well, he's all right, and it's going to take quite a bit to get him to come out for a prolonged period. For the moment, Joey Matthews, the redshirt freshman from Sevierville, Tennessee, is in. Good arm, but he's still learning, say the coaches about Matthews.
And all you want him to do right now is get a clean snap from the center and give the ball to Jamal Lewis.
On 2nd and 17. It is a clean exchange, but Lewis doesn't get very much. He's gang tackled by the Gators, led by Gerard Warren, who missed the first 2 games of the season. The Gators, due to a suspension for a problem off the field. They're still working on Martin's chin. And let's get more on his situation from Michelle.
Well, when he was down over on this sideline, just next to the Florida bench, he was bleeding out of his nose and mouth. It looked like he had a loose tooth. The trainer had pulled out an actual pair of pliers. They were going to pull that tooth. Turns out they didn't have to do that, but I think their concern right now is because his chin did hit the ground. Does he have a concussion? We'll keep you updated.
And Tennessee has called a timeout. A 3rd down and long upcoming from the Florida 23-yard line. Might have used that timeout not only to consider this long yardage play, but also to give the medical staff time to get Martin back into the game.
Right. Well, he is a tough physical player, and it appears he is coming back in. Going to maybe tighten up that chin strap.
Let's go back and take one more look. And from this angle, I think you will see the injury was well after the hit when he slides toward the cameraman and hits the camera face first.
Yep.
Well, you're a high-profile athlete. You're used to a close-up, but that's a little tighter than the standard close-up.
Extreme close-up.
And T. Martin is so popular among his teammates. T says, I just want to be considered one of the guys. I don't care about my place in Tennessee history. But Cedric Wilson said T. Martin is the greatest quarterback in Tennessee history. And he didn't mean that as a slight at Peyton Manning. He said T. Martin has done something no one else has done. Undefeated in his first year as a starter, winner of the national championship. The play clock is run out, and here comes the flag. This play does not count. And that's bizarre out of a timeout to have a delay of game penalty.
What started as a very promising situation for Tennessee after the turnover is really starting to go the other way as Tennessee is going backwards now. And that should never happen, you know, after a timeout to get a delay of game penalty.
Randy Sanders said he didn't feel the pressure when he took over the offensive coordinator job in the national championship game. He said, I don't read the papers. Maybe if I realized what a big deal everybody was making about it, I would have been nervous. But there was already enough pressure just calling the plays in the title game. So it's third down and forever, 3rd and 22 at the 28-yard line of Florida. And they're back now where they probably wouldn't try a field goal for Loudermilk. Martin throws complete. First down, Eric Parker. Out of bounds at the 7-yard line. Marquand Manuel saved a touchdown. They convert on 3rd down and 22. Down to the 7.
Well, the noise has been a problem tonight, so watch what Tennessee's doing. The guards and the tackles are holding hands. The guards can hear the snap count and see the ball, and as soon as they let go of the hands, the tackles know to get into protection. Good protection and a lot of cushion out there by Benny Alexander, and Parker able to make the big catch.
But not the first down. They did not give him forward progress to the marker. He's about a fraction of a yard short. And the Volunteers are going to call a timeout with the play clock running out again. Well, these are two of the best teams in the country, but this has been a very sloppy first half. 4th and inches after this. Therefore, that's why Tennessee was backed up. Was not an automatic first down, and now they're trying to pick it up on the rollout by Martin. He has the first down. He lunges and has a touchdown. What a competitor T. Martin is. And he got an excellent block by Will Bartholomew.
Well, you called it, Sean, a great competitor, and this is why his teammates love him so much. He's got an offensive lineman mentality. Just wants to be one of the guys. He's a great leader. Very unselfish player. He's been hit and knocked around this whole first half, still giving up his body for the touchdown there on the naked bootleg.
An injured clavicle, bleeding from the nose and mouth, and yet he goes diving into the end zone. A 7-yard run for the first touchdown of the game. And Robert Loudermilk, the senior from Brentwood, Tennessee, added the extra point to give the Vols the lead. It's 7-3 with 9:17 left in the first half.
Watch Martin get the football over the line. You see the strength there. Manuel in position. T. Martin just too strong for him.
Martin's first rushing touchdown of the season. And let's go back just to catch you up on all the confusion. We were so caught up in trying to diagnose the injury to T. Martin, we had just assumed that the flag was for a late hit against Florida's Keith Kelsey on this play. But in fact, it was Martin penalized for being across the line of scrimmage when he threw the ball.
Well, you can see right there, clearly across the line of scrimmage when he threw the football, but there certainly could have been a late hit called on Keith Kelsey as well.
You can see there the line of scrimmage is outside the 21, and he was straddling the 20-yard line as he went to the air to throw.
Good call by the official. And T. Martin took the brunt of that play, but still had the mental toughness, the physical toughness to come back into the football game and get Tennessee in the end zone for a 7-3 lead.
T. Martin's like a fighter getting patched up after every round. Every time he goes to the sideline, they're working on him. Bo Carroll, a real speedster, runs back the Loudermilk kickoff. Big hole. All the way to the 44-yard line. Another late flag for pushing and shoving after the play. Well, it was Leonard Scott who tackled Bo Carroll, and that's a matchup of two of the premier sprinters in the country.
Dead ball foul, personal foul on the kicking team, 15 yards, first down.
We have three great sprinters in this game. John Capel is one. This guy, Bo Carroll, the other. And you can see once he gets a seam, there's only maybe one guy on the field that's going to catch him, and that's who got him. Leonard Scott, the wide receiver for Tennessee. And watch the end of the play here. There was the push down the field well after the play. Anthony Sessions, a backup linebacker, with the penalty.
Bo Carroll, an 8-time All-American as a sprinter on Florida's track team, caught by the 60-meter NCAA indoor champion Leonard Scott of Tennessee. Doug Johnson on first down from inside the 30, down the seam, incomplete. The receiver never turned for the ball, but there's a flag nonetheless. Aaron Kinney, the tight end, a rare target. They don't throw to the tight end very often, and Eric Westmoreland was wrapped up with him.
Sean, I watched this play in practice on Thursday, and Steve Spurrier kept getting on Doug Johnson saying, throw it to the spot. The spot is right here. Don't worry if he's not looking. Throw the football to the spot. And that's what he did. Tried to keep him away from the safety. Kinney not able to make the catch, but Westmoreland hanging on, running down the field.
Tennessee penalized 8 times already for 60 yards.
Two very critical ones in a short time here in the second quarter. Just when it looked like they were taking over the momentum in the football game, Florida back in the red zone.
Interference call, 15 yards, moves to the 15. A high pitch handled by Robert Gillespie, but he's dropped for a loss. Dominique Stevenson, the middle linebacker, with help from Deion Grant, the safety. Well, we've given you enough time to ponder tonight's Aflac trivia question. The last time Tennessee beat Florida at the Swamp, who was the captain? Jackie Walker. That was in 1971. Tennessee's played here only 6 times since then. Philip Fulmer was an offensive lineman, a guard on that Tennessee team. He remembers the game-winning drive that covered more than 99 yards as Tennessee won by a touchdown. On second down and 11, Johnson wrapped up, and he throws short of Rashae Caldwell. Raynoch Thompson had Johnson in his grasp just as Doug threw the ball away.
Tennessee felt like they could get to Doug Johnson. If they got there, they felt like they could rattle him. Doug Johnson has not gotten in a groove tonight throwing the football, partly because he's been off target, throwing the ball a little high, but partly because Tennessee's getting some people in his face and making him move around in the pocket. Tennessee 13 sacks last in their opener against Wyoming. They've got some people who can really get after the quarterback.
5 wide receivers, and here comes the blitz. Johnson sidestepped it, then threw it away. He did well to avoid the sack. The answer to the 5 wide receivers from the Tennessee defense was the blitz. And here comes the field goal team.
If you have 5 wide receivers, that means you only have 5 guys who can block. So a defense, all they have to do is rush 6. You get one more guy than they can block. And again, pressure on Doug Johnson. He is not a guy who's going to beat you throwing the football on the move outside of the pocket.
Well, last year it was a missed short field goal in overtime by Collins Cooper that had Florida fall short and lose to Tennessee 20-17. That was the last game for Cooper as the kicker. Jeff Chandler took over, and he's been almost flawless ever since. And he's right down the middle with that try from 33 yards. So the Gators are within one at 7-6. 7-6. Tennessee leads by a point. Low scoring, mistake-filled first half. Still 8 minutes to go till halftime. Jeff Chandler kicks off. Line drive kick into the end zone, and Tennessee will start at the 20. Monday on
penalties on Tennessee. This game is going exactly the way Philip Fulmer and the coaching staff wanted it for Tennessee. A low-scoring game. They can stay with their game plan, running the football. Even though Florida's defense is playing much better tonight than they've shown in the first 2 games, this is Tennessee's kind of football game right now.
Jamal Lewis lined up in the eye, follows Philip Crosby, but never gets out of the backfield. Andra Davis, the middle linebacker, put the big pop on Lewis, and not much on offense in the first half for Tennessee. They used the short field after the turnover for the touchdown.
Very efficient on that drive. Randy Sanders felt like this game could be very similar to the Fiesta Bowl, where you just have to be patient, stick with what you're doing, run the football, set up the play action, hope to beat them in the fourth quarter.
Tennessee Volunteers say they're still playing for respect. People said the national championship was lucky last year. They're still not ranked #1, even with much of their team back. They're #2 in the polls behind the Florida State team they beat for the championship. Cedric Wilson, a nice gainer out to the 32, where Alex Brown made the stop. But they think, as Alex Brown said, you beat us here, you'll get your respect. That might be what it takes. And I think if Tennessee wins tonight, Todd, already back-to-back SEC championships, the national championship, you would have to say they clearly are the team to shoot for in the SEC.
There's a new sheriff in town if that happens, no question. And Florida becomes the team chasing Tennessee, not just on the field, but also in recruiting.
Philip Crosby, a rare carry. He handled the ball just once in the win over Wyoming. And the defense was not fooled. Perhaps a gain of a half yard for the senior from Bessemer City, North Carolina.
If there ever was a Tennessee team in this decade that had a great chance to come into the swamp and win, it's this team because of a couple things. They've got a good, powerful offensive line. They've got Jamal Lewis. They've got a quarterback in T. Martin who has a great presence and poise. They can run the football and take a little of the enthusiasm away from this crowd. Plus, they got a very, very good defense. Probably the best defense they've had in the 90s.
And in the 90s, Florida is 55-2 at home. The only losses to Florida State and Charlie Ward in 93 and to Auburn in 94. 29 wins in a row at home since for the Gators. The throw high from T. Martin, looking for Eric Parker. Coverage from Benny Alexander. It'll be 3rd down and 9. And only Florida State, with one home loss in the 90s, has a better home record in this decade than Florida.
Nebraska had quite a scare today against Southern Miss.
Interesting day, upsets and near upsets, and Tim Brando and Spencer Tillman have it all coming up in moments. College football today's AXA halftime report. Still 6 minutes left in the half. Martin pumps and goes deep, and it is incomplete through the hands of Cedric Wilson. Just a little bit too long from Martin. And the Florida defensive coaches expect to be tested deep at least 3 times a half.
Well, we saw Florida hit the hitch and go against Dwayne Goodrich. And that time Tennessee went with the hitch and go, and they had what they wanted, just a slight overthrow by T. Martin, but that was close to being a big play for Tennessee.
6th punt already for David Leverton. And O'Shea Caldwell is back at his 28-yard line. Breeze at the back of Leverton, but he never got it up in the air. Caldwell, a short return of 3 yards after a 38-yard punt. Let's get an update on the Michigan-Syracuse game from Tim.
All right, Sean, more on your alma mater. Remember, the Big Ten almost took a huge hit today in Miami. What about tonight? Can Michigan hold on? Quentin Spotwood scores off a 6-yard pass from the D. Williams in the back of the end zone. The Orangemen have taken the lead. Look out. Big East trying to make yet another statement, this time in Syracuse.
Well, they really did manhandle Michigan at the Big House last year. Had a 38-7 lead over the Wolverines before they put in the deep substitutes. Doug Johnson, quick toss. Travis Taylor out to the 35. He could not escape the grasp of Goodrich, and there's another flag for a late hit.
I think this is Raynoch Thompson's going to get called for the late hit. Travis Taylor fighting for extra yardage. It may be a spear. It may be because he led with his head, because I don't think Taylor was down. He was not down on the ground. I think it's just for leading with his headgear.
Raynoch Thompson, the leading tackler for Tennessee last year, now a senior from New Orleans. Coming up at halftime, college football today, AXA halftime report with Tim and Spencer. All the scores and highlights. They'll put their spin on how they think the season's going to shape up by year's end. Really tough to tell the way the season started with all the surprises. That's all coming up in the AXA halftime report. In 5.5 minutes of game action. Out to the 50 now. The Gators down by a point. Johnson, another quick hitter to Travis Taylor. Same play as a moment ago. This time no spear. And Goodrich again wrestled Taylor out of bounds, but a quality gain of 6 on first down. Some easy throws perhaps to get Doug Johnson into a rhythm.
ST trying to get him some short passes. Here's Raynoch on the pass rush, trying to get his hands, body in the face of Doug Johnson. A pretty good effort by Thompson, but the ball's out of there quickly on the 3-step drop.
Johnson in and out of the lineup the last couple of years, sometimes alternating by play with Jesse Palmer. This offseason, he established himself clearly as the #1 quarterback. He throws the fade, and he is caught by Darrell Jackson over Andre Lott. First down, Gators at the 33-yard line.
That's that same throw where the wide receiver takes a short split and he has the wide field to work. What I mean by that is, look at all that room he has outside. The ball can be thrown to the Tennessee sideline. Andre Lott has no chance. If that ball's thrown outside, he can't recover quick enough to make a play. It's a nice throw and catch. Johnson to Jackson.
And a kind of timing play that the Gators have worked on over the summer, because Johnson's improvement is in large part because he stuck around this summer rather than go play minor league baseball as he's done the previous 2. That pass is broken up. Looking for Travis Taylor was Johnson, and Dwayne Goodrich knocked it down. We check in again with Tim Brando.
Sometimes, Sean and Todd, it helps to move positions, like Aaron Shea. He was a tight end last year. Now he's a fullback. And here's the reason Lloyd Carr made the decision. Pretty good broken field run after the catch from Drew Henson. Michigan back on the board and leading by 6 at Syracuse.
And here it's a 1-point Tennessee lead with 4:45 left in the first half. Sean McDonough with Todd Blackledge and Michelle Tafoya at the Swamp in Gainesville. 2nd down and 10. Johnson under pressure, hit and lost the ball. It's an incomplete pass. His arm was moving forward when Andre Lott hit him, and it's an incomplete pass. And it'll be 3rd down and 10.
Well, this is going to be a corner blitz. This is Andre Lott. The reason you can do this in college football is because the hash marks are wider. You don't have very far to go. Doug Johnson doesn't see the corner coming. And very lucky that his arm was going forward, because he had no idea that Andre Lott was coming on the corner blitz.
That's close, too.
Very close. See, in pro football, you can't run many corner blitzes. The hash marks are further in. That corner never gets to the quarterback. But in college football, a very effective weapon.
And a timeout called by Florida. The Gators are out of timeouts. 3rd down and 10 for Florida. From the 33-yard line, Doug Johnson, former 2nd-round draft pick of the Tampa Bay Devil Rays, played 2 years of minor league baseball while also trying to play quarterback for the Gators. Steve Spurrier always encouraging to stay over the summer, and this year he did. And they have seen an improvement in his play. As a result, the blitz is on. Wide open, the tight end, Aaron Kinney. Touchdown! Flag down at the 4-yard line.
Tennessee has been getting great pressure on Doug Johnson. They've been coming with different kinds of blitzes. A perfect call by Steve Spurrier to delay the tight end and slip him the football. Nobody expecting the tight end to get the football in that set, and a great call at the right time.
But what is the important call on the penalty?
During the run, face mask on the offense. 15-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. The play did gain a first down.
Wow, the flag thrown at the 4. They've moved the ball back to the 19-yard line, so it negates the touchdown for Aaron Kinney.
Still a great call and a great play. Again, it was an outside blitz. Now here's Kenny. Watch, he's going to show block and then slip through. Nobody picks him up because he was hesitating like he was blocking, and nobody expected Aaron Kinney. A great call, but the penalty backs him up and no touchdown.
And now another flag thrown, and Doug Johnson immediately over to the referee Steve Shaw to protest this one. Well, this has been a very long first half because it's been penalty filled.
On the offense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
First and 15 now. Gators thought they had the go-ahead touchdown. Now they're backed up to the 24-yard line. Johnson out of the gun, throws, almost intercepted. The receiver slipped as he made his cut. Travis Taylor. We had word from Michelle Tafoya earlier that Travis Taylor injured his ankle. And he was out for a bit. We don't know if that was a problem as he went to make the cut, but Dwayne Goodrich almost had the interception.
And Doug Johnson needs to just settle down now. He's got to keep his poise together here. He's got to make some plays for Florida. He's under pressure. He's under duress. But Florida needs him to make some plays throwing the football. He had a touchdown called back. He's got to shake that off and get in here on second down and make a good play.
4.5 minutes left in the half. 4 wide receivers. Johnson throws, and it is incomplete. The ball came out. Now they're talking about it. No signal from the officials. They might give Jackson the catch at the 6. They're still talking to each other. There's a flag down to the offensive backfield. They still haven't ruled it a catch or an incompletion on the near sideline. And now here comes the incomplete pass ruling. Well, the players are making it difficult on the officials because there have been so many penalties. And there's also a holding call against Florida. We'll see if Philip Fulmer takes it. If he turns it down, it's 3rd down and 15.
Try to pick up the holding. Great job by Ernest Graham stepping up and getting the blitz. Mickey Allen does a nice job reaching in and pulling the football out before Jackson comes down on the ground. That's just a good effort by a defensive back. Even though you're beat, don't give up on the play and keep fighting for the football. Again, let's see if we can see the holding. Is it the left tackle, Cooper Carlisle? There it is. There's the takedown right there on Will Overstreet, the sophomore out of Jackson, Mississippi. A very high motor kind of defensive end, and Cooper Carlisle caught with the hold.
The go-ahead touchdown taken back by penalty all the way back to the 34-yard line of Tennessee. Now the Gators looking at 2nd down and 25. Philip Fulmer chose that instead of 3rd and 15. Certainly has taken Florida out of field goal range for the moment with the breeze in the face of the Gators. Deep drop trying to set up a screen, it seems. Johnson lost the football on an incomplete pass. He had backpedaled all the way across midfield. Deion Grant in pursuit.
Well, they were trying to set up the screen to Gillespie, but Gillespie was covered. Here he is, number 20. Watch him get just caught up in the wash here. It's a blitz, so you think maybe it's a good play, but he can't get out. He's knocked down to the ground by the defensive end, and Doug Johnson really had nowhere to go with the football. Trying to throw the screen to Gillespie. The defensive end knocked him down.
Deion Grant wishes he went somewhere else with the football. Third down and 25. Gillespie the lone back. 4 wide receivers. 7-6 Tennessee. In the second quarter, that pass caught. Nice catch by Darrell Jackson. The ball thrown behind him, but a very short gain.
A short gain, but maybe enough to get the field goal attempt here a little more reasonable. They weren't going to get the first down. They weren't going to get a touchdown with that play, but they might have just gotten enough distance for Chandler to put Florida on top.
This will be a 41-yard try for Chandler, who's already kicked 2 field goals from 23 and 33. That one's long enough, and it is good. What a change in the kicking situation for both of these teams since the meeting in Knoxville last year. It's now Florida on top. Field goals by Jeff Chandler. A Tennessee touchdown on a 7-yard run by T. Martin, and it's 9-7 Florida with 3:37 remaining in the first half. Leonard Scott back for the kickoff. It goes off the hands of one of the up men and out of bounds. Kirsten Biggers couldn't field a line drive kick, and Tennessee will begin at its own 8-yard line. Biggers, a reserve third-string fullback, couldn't handle the line drive.
Let's go back to the touchdown that was called back on, well, first of all, the kickoff. You see they haven't been able to return a kickoff, and Biggers that time thinking maybe I could catch it, pluck it out of the air, and get upfield a little bit.
We're going to go back and take a look at the Florida touchdown that was called back in just a moment. Travis Henry, the tailback. Flags down. Boy. This is not a recording. And the play blown dead. Gators saying they have the ball, but I think the officials had stopped the play. Henry was stopped by Keith Kelsey. It's going to be the 10th penalty against Tennessee.
Dead ball foul. Ball start on the offense. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
All right, let's go back to the Aaron Kinney play. The touchdown that was called back. Kind of an unusual penalty to get face mask on the offense, but that's what the call was on Alex Willis, the junior receiver out of Jacksonville, trying to get a block on Dwayne Goodrich. Got his hand up on the face mask, and Florida kept out of the end zone because of the penalty.
15 penalties combined here in the first half. 10 against Tennessee for 79 yards. 5 for 50 against Florida. And that ball barely did advance back out of the end zone. Derek Chambers made the play with Alex Brown, and the ball will be spotted at the 1-yard line.
Alex Brown is getting such a quick jump off the football, and the noise is helping him because the offensive tackle can't get out of his stance quick enough. But Alex Brown is just getting off like a sprinter, and T. Martin nowhere to go on that play. Did the smart thing of getting out of the end zone and falling forward.
Now a tight formation, just trying to get some breathing room. Martin, the keeper. Gerard Warren went diving over the top of the pile, trying to stuff Martin. He pushed it ahead for a yard, perhaps a yard and a half. But it's going to be third down and long. They need to get across the 18-yard line to pick up a first down for Coach Fulmer.
One of the things Florida may be gearing up for here as we get down to almost 2 minutes to set up a kick block situation. John Hoke, not only the defensive coordinator, but also worked with the punt block teams at Missouri. They've blocked 2 kicks already in the first 2 games.
Travis Henry stumbled, but still managed to stay on his feet and take the handoff and push the ball out to the 5-yard line, where Teddy Sims was credited with the tackle. No timeouts for Florida.
The Gator down.
There is an injured Gator, Buck Gurley. The nose tackle, number 99, junior from Tallahassee. They don't have a lot of depth on this young and inexperienced defense. 10 new starters this year, including the entire front 7. Front 4 last year. You'll remember the brilliant tackles, Ed Chester and Reggie McGrew, the ends, Willie Coens and Tim Beauchamp. They had 106 starts combined in their careers. The 3 Florida starting linebackers last year, Mike Peterson, Johnny Rutledge, Javon Curse, all drafted in the first 51 picks in the last NFL draft.
See Buck Gurley in there, just got his leg tangled up in there. The defensive tackles have played pretty well tonight for Florida. They got Gerard Warren back, number 61, a guy who sat out the first 2 games with a suspension. They were very excited to get him back. Nicknamed Big Money. He's a young player, but he has some experience, and he's a guy who has big physical presence on the inside, and he has played pretty well tonight on the inside.
And perhaps just as importantly, he's a vocal presence, and John Hoke said he was shocked at how emotionless and quiet his young defense was in the first 2 games of the season. Bob Stoops, his predecessor, the former defensive coordinator here at Florida, went on to be the head coach at Oklahoma, told Hoke that's pretty typical of this Florida defense. But Hoke was still surprised by just how quiet this group was in those first 2 games.
Yeah, he was really happy to get Warren back for his attitude, for his toughness, as well as Anthony Mitchell, 2 guys that didn't play in the first 2 games that bring a little attitude to this Gator defense. And they've played with attitude tonight, especially Alex Brown.
Leverton just about the normal 15 yards of drop. And kicking with the breeze at his back. And Rashae Caldwell standing at the Tennessee 45, ready for the punt. Clock is running. And the ball's wise to let it run down as far as they can to leave the Gators with as little time as possible. Florida without a timeout left.
Setting up the return.
High kick, but short. Caldwell at the 40. The 35. Delivers a stiff arm and goes out at the 31-yard line. A 35-yard punt and a 9-yard return. Sunday on 60 Minutes. Do you think today's public schools can't educate children the way they did when you went to school? Watch the premiere of another season of 60 Minutes Sunday. Outstanding field position for Florida. At the 31 of Tennessee, 1:21 left, so the lack of timeouts really shouldn't be a factor. With this much time left, and the short field with which to work. Doug Johnson out of the shotgun. Pump fake, zips it to the sideline, caught. Alex Willis tackled by Andre Locke near the 10-yard line. The junior from Jacksonville with his 5th catch of the year.
Great job on the underthrow by Doug Johnson. Sometimes it's a great thing to do to, on purpose, underthrow the ball. The defender is running for his life, trying to find the football, has no idea the ball is thrown short, and Alex Willis does a nice job stopping and making the catch. Good play, good timing, Johnson to Willis.
Willis, a former walk-on who earned a scholarship this season as a junior. That was his first catch tonight. Out of the gun, Johnson guns it to the end zone for a touchdown to Darrell Jackson.
This may be the best protection Doug Johnson got all night. Watch the pocket. He's got great pocket. He can stay right in there. Good vision down the field. And a perfect throw to Darrell Jackson on the post.
And Chandler's extra point is good. And the first Florida touchdown of the night. An 11-yard pass. Johnson to Jackson. Florida now leads 16-7, 51 seconds left in the first half. And a moment ago, Buck Gurley went off to the locker room using crutches. We're told he has a sprained left ankle. They're uncertain about his return. It certainly didn't look good as he departed. Chandler's kickoff. Brought back by Leonard Scott. He gets outside. And it's the kicker, Chandler, who pushed him out at the 39-yard line. A 39-yard return for the freshman from Zachary, Louisiana.
Go back to the touchdown. I'm going to show you what Doug Johnson sees. He sees blitz here. Ernest Graham will pick him up. He knows he's got one-on-one right here on the post. Watch Johnson. His eyes are right there. He sees the blitz. His back picks him up. And it's a nice throw. Single coverage to Jackson. Good vision down the field. And one of the nicest balls he's thrown all night.
Darrell Jackson has his third touchdown catch of the season. Martin throws it quickly. Cedric Wilson wise to get out of bounds. Another flag thrown.
Boy, oh boy.
Wilson did get out of bounds at the 44-yard line to stop the clock. Tennessee does not have a timeout with which to work.
You know Tennessee is a well-coached football team, but way too many penalties for a national championship team, or also a team on the road trying to win a tough ball game. They've been really hurting themselves with penalties here in the first half.
And discipline so much a part of their success a year ago when they went undefeated and won the national championship. The holding penalty brings it back to the 33. My goodness. 11 penalties in less than a full half against the Volunteers. See how they play it now from the 33 without a timeout. Martin looking deep down the field, looking for Cedric Wilson. That pass is too long. Robert Cromartie had the coverage. Coming up at halftime. College football today, AXA halftime report. Tim and Spencer with the scores and highlights and lots of opinions. Never lacking for opinions when those two gentlemen are on the scene, and that's a good thing in their job.
No, it's just a matter of who can get the most in.
I'm betting on Tim.
I don't know. Spencer looks like he can hold his own pretty well. He's doing a good job.
Well, the rushing advantage, not a key factor in this first half. Here goes Lewis weaving through traffic. They'll pick up the first down at the 50 to stop the clock for a moment with 20 seconds left in the half. Lester Norwood made the stop after a pickup of 17.
I say try to throw the ball downfield here. You've got no timeouts. You've got no other way to stop the clock. Take a couple shots. You've got young secondary people. For Florida, they've played well in the first half, but make them make a play here at the end of the half.
All the penalties. Each team used all of its timeouts, so it's been a first half that has taken nearly 2 hours to play, with Florida leading by 9 and 17 seconds left after the spike. Second and 10 from the midfield stripe. Lots of time for T, and the pass is too high. Intended again for Cedric Wilson, and the Gators secondary a little bit shaky in the first two games. Let's actually amend that to a lot shaky.
Yeah.
When you give up more than 700 yards through the air in 2 games against Western Michigan and Central Florida, but boy, they're a lot better tonight.
And a much different looking defense. In the first game, they played a lot of zone. They were teaching. They played a lot of man-to-man in the Central Florida game. And let's face it, it's harder to get up emotionally for games like that than it is for this game.
3rd and 10 with 12 seconds left in the half. He's going to throw it deep again. One-on-one coverage out there, and it's incomplete. Intended for Eric Parker. Benny Alexander, who's their best cover corner. And the coverage. And with 4 seconds left, they could drop back and throw another one toward the end
do it
zone.
again. I mean, again, you're just taking a chance here. It's going to be the last play of the half. Make Benny Alexander make the play. He did on that one. I'd put a fresh receiver in who didn't just run down the field and run right back at him. He's got to be a little tired. He's been on the field the whole half. Played on all the special teams.
Alexander's a sophomore from Rayford, Florida, cousin of former Gator standout wide receiver Riddell Anthony. Likely the last play of the half, but there is a flag down, which would be a fitting end to the half, and that one is incomplete. Todd Johnson had the coverage. They're heading to the dressing rooms, but there is a flag back in the offensive backfield. It appears to be against Tennessee. Florida's going to turn it down and end the half. O'Carroll and Rashay Caldwell. Short kickoff, and it's returned to the 22-yard line. And that's where Florida will begin 1st and 10. Sean McDonough with Todd Blackledge. Todd, an awful lot happened in that first half, but perhaps one key that was overlooked, special teams play and the importance thereof.
Yeah, and Florida had the edge. We thought coming in they might have the edge with their kicker, Jeff Chandler. He was 3 for 3 on field goals. One of those field goals set up by a 50-yard kickoff return by Bo Carroll, and also the misplayed kickoff by Kirsten Biggers of Tennessee set up the good field position for the touchdown for Florida.
Doug Johnson. Deep handoff to Ernest Graham, and he slides out to the 29-yard line. Let's check in with Michelle.
Well, Sean, moments ago, Phil Fulmer told me that T. Martin was just fine, thank you very much, but we have since learned that T. Martin received IV treatments during halftime. He's quite dehydrated and very cramped. He's still in the locker room, putting his uniform back on. They do expect him to try to come out and play in the second half. We'll keep you posted.
Well, he is going to be tired and sore because the Florida defense in that first half, they knocked T. Martin around the field.
Graham again breaks into the secondary. Across midfield and down to the Tennessee 41. Deion Grant saved the touchdown. Well, Florida rushed for only 8 yards in the first half, but they want to get the ground game going in the first minute of the second half.
Steve Spurrier making some adjustments in the locker room at halftime. Good job. Look at the seal off here, seal off on the backside, and that's all that Ernest Graham needs, a little crease. Good block on the middle linebacker. Corey Yarbrough, the center, with the good block on Dominique Stevenson, and that's what sprung Ernest Graham as Darwin Walker coming off the field, and Tennessee can ill afford to lose him, one of the real leaders on this defense, probably the best player on that defensive front from his defensive tackle position.
He's a senior from Walterboro, South Carolina. Had 10 of his relatives with him on campus in Knoxville earlier this week as the Hurricane moved towards South Carolina. That pass moved toward Dwayne Goodrich, but he couldn't intercept it. And here's T. Martin late out of the locker room after getting the treatment Michelle Tafoya spoke of a moment ago.
Well, the IV, potentially he was cramping up at halftime. Wanted to get some fluids back in him quickly. They're going to need him throughout the whole second half. They cannot afford to lose T. Martin. And we've seen his toughness. I mean, his ability to come back after the hits he's taken from players and cameras in the first half. He's back.
2nd and 10. Johnson threw for 244 yards and a touchdown in the first half. Short drop, slings it to his right, juggled and incomplete. Alex Willis couldn't come up with it. Dominique Stevenson was in coverage. And we'll take a look at the first half stats. The team that has had the edge in rushing has won every game between these two in the 90s, but it was Tennessee with a big edge in the first half, but still a 9-point deficit. And the penalties caused major angst on each side.
We talked about rushing and turnovers. Florida losing both battles right now and winning the football game.
4 wide receivers. Ernest Graham, the lone back. He stayed in the block. The pass caught by Willis. First down and more. Alex Willis powers his way inside the 20. 23 yards on the pass play to Willis.
Nice job by Doug Johnson getting rid of it against the blitz, and then Willis just using his body to kind of shield Goodrich on the quick slant. A little surprising to see Goodrich off of Willis that much. He's a great man-to-man cover player, but really kind of got out of position there, and Willis comes up with the big catch for the first down.
There's the number 80 for his idol Jerry Rice. 23 yards. First and 10, Florida. Trying to add to a 9-point edge. That pass is juggled and caught. Inside the 10-yard line, Darrell Jackson. Handled by Andre Lott. 13 more on the pass play.
Florida is doing a nice job with their protection against the front four of Tennessee. When Tennessee has gotten pressure on Doug Johnson, it's had to be the result of linebackers or corner blitzes. The front four has not been able to generate pressure on Doug Johnson, and that time he's able to stand back there and make the nice throw to Darrell Jackson.
4 times in the red zone tonight, just 1 touchdown. Jeff Chandler's been perfect in field goals, and those 3 kicks the difference in the score. Tough run by Gillespie, and then he took a tough hit as he bounced across the far sideline. Rammed out by Ed Butler and Fred White. There's Butler, the sophomore from Huntsville, Alabama.
Butler still in there for Darwin Walker. A lot less experienced player than Walker, but a guy who has shown potential. He's really a defensive end. He's not as big as some of the guys playing on the inside, but playing tackle here now in place of Darwin Walker.
Deion Grant is injured, so they just lost their best inside player in the defensive front in Walker, at least for the time being, and now their best safety, Deion Grant, is in pain. The junior from Augusta, Georgia, covers a lot of ground in the secondary. John Chavis says we can take a lot of chances on defense because Deion covers up a lot of mistakes, and he had this key second half interception in Tennessee's win over Florida last year.
He's got great range. You know, he's 6'3", 205. He's got the speed and the quicks, and may even turn out to be a corner in the NFL, you know, with that big size. And
you mentioned he's from Augusta, Georgia. He chose Tennessee over Georgia. He said he wanted to go someplace where he could beat Florida. Grew up really disliking the Gators. And he got the worst of it. Might have been kicked by his own man. He might have been kicked by Butler in the head as Butler moved across to finish off the tackle. He's walking with his head down like he might be a little bit woozy as they take him off. An impressive drive engineered by the play calling of Steve Spurrier, who serves as his own offensive coordinator. Ricky Allen takes the place of Deion Grant. Allen has an interception tonight. Bo Carroll comes in at a wideout position. They throw to the near side. Rashae Caldwell. Touchdown!
Rashae Caldwell has got great feet. He's going to be a big timer. He's the guy who's going to get the touchdown. But watch the blocks by Willis, but a better block by Darrell Jackson. Actually picked off 2 Tennessee defenders and gave the free corner to Rashae Caldwell.
Jeff Chandler adds the extra point. And the Gators open up a 16-point lead. Doug Johnson led an impressive drive to begin the second half. 7 plays, 78 yards. Well, Florida cranked up the running game on the touchdown drive to begin the second half. 3 carries, 38 yards rushing, a part of that 78-yard drive. And now Jeff Chandler ready to kick off. 4-yard touchdown reception by Rashae Caldwell. Chandler, strong line drive kick. Leonard Scott takes a knee in the back of the end zone.
Let's go back to this touchdown. We said Darrell Jackson got a great block. Here's Caldwell. He'll get the touchdown. But watch Darrell Jackson. He's going to actually block 3 Tennessee defenders on this play. He fakes like he's running the fade. Now watch as he peels back. He gets his man and 2 other guys and allows Reche Caldwell to walk into the end zone. A great call and well executed by the 3 wide receivers in that formation.
Well, the Gators like to go bowling on Thursday nights as a team bonding thing, and Jackson got 3 pins with that attempt. It's Lewis on the run, and now the dilemma for Randy Sanders, still relatively new as the offensive coordinator. Tennessee primarily a running team. They run to set up the play action pass. Can they stick with that attack? There is still a long way to go.
Yeah, I think they can still at this point. There's 11 minutes and 30 seconds left in the 3rd quarter. They're only down 16. Their best thing is to run, and T. Martin just is going to have to hit some passes off the play action.
And here is play action on 2nd and 8. Good for a first down. Wilson trying to spin away, but he was upended by Benny Alexander. NFL doubleheader action tomorrow at 1 o'clock. 6 games here on CBS Sports, and the late games are Denver and Kansas City and Cleveland and Tennessee. It all begins with the NFL Today, presented by Southwest Airlines. Tomorrow right here.
Tim Couch gets his first start in the NFL tomorrow.
It'll be interesting to see the Indianapolis Colts after the convincing win over Buffalo. They look to be much improved. They'll have a tough task in New England. T. Martin zips it long over the head of Eric Parker, with Benny Alexander running stride for stride. Well, the defensive coordinator John Hoke told us yesterday they like to test us deep about 3 times a half, and 1st and 10, is usually their down and distance, throw it deep down the field. So he wasn't at all surprised by that long throw. John Hoke, 42 years old, the latest defensive coordinator. There have been a number of them under Steve Spurrier. Bob Stoops very successful, and that led to his taking the head coaching job at Oklahoma. Martin throws it out to the near side. Leonard Scott very close to a first down. And it appears that he has it across the 42-yard line. In 10 years under Steve Spurrier, here's the list of defensive coordinators. Hope comes from Missouri, where he was the secondary coach under Larry Smith. When Bob Stoops left, he recommended his friend John Hope for the job, and Hope plays a very similar style of defense.
Yeah, very similar. When he was at Missouri, and Bobby Stoops and Mike Stoops were both at Kansas State, he basically copied that same defensive system. They used to talk every Monday during the season, so similar style.
Looked like movement by the right end of the offensive line. I think Josh Tucker came up early, and the players didn't hear the whistles. Gerard Warren, very feisty as he gets pulled off Spencer Riley.
And that's the kind of thing. I mean, there's no penalty here, nothing, no harm, no foul. But that's the kind of attitude that John Hoke felt was missing on this team. You know, it's okay to have a lot of nice guys and really coachable guys. And
false start on the offense. 5-yard penalty. Repeat the down.
But all good defenses also have a couple mean guys. And Gerard Warren is a mean guy. This is him right here working on Spencer Riley. Getting a good push. Now Riley knows that the play's over, but he doesn't want him hitting his quarterback.
See, Martin looked like he was ready to fend for himself. Well, 5 times in their history, the Volunteers have been penalized 13 times. They're going to shatter the school record tonight unless they clean up their act in a hurry. 1st and 15, a blitz. Well picked up. And the pass, very close to a first down. Parker did a little dancing. Had he just gone straight ahead, he might have picked it up. He still might have it, and we'll find out after we check in with Tim.
Sean, here's one for Todd. You've got to know the rules, and you have to know where you are on the football field if you're playing quarterback. Troy Noon scrambling around, has no ideas in the end zone. Folks, this is intentional grounding. That's 2 for the other team. 15-13 Michigan at the Carrier Dome, fellas.
And you know, being a Syracuse student, that he is an exceptionally bright young man. Absolutely. That's a big surprise. They're going to measure for the first down. And Parker did pick it up.
Again, a very important drive for Philip Fulmer's team right now. They are not in panic mode. They don't have to be. They don't have to abandon the run. They can still use Jamal Lewis. But they've got to stop killing themselves with penalties, and they've got to move the football and get some points on the board here. They're still well within striking distance.
Their only touchdown came on a 32-yard drive. They used a short field. Here's Gerard Warren again. John Hoke says he's never seen anyone with the quickness of Warren who plays inside on the defensive line. And John played in the NFL. He's coached for a long time in college. Warren, a great athlete. He can dunk a basketball with two hands. The Florida players say he's the kind of guy in intramurals who will get a rebound at the defensive end, weave his way, dribbling all the way up the court. And even though he can dunk, he likes to pull up and shoot the three. Second and 11. Warren 6'4", 300 pounds. Brown has Martin again. Alex Brown. 4 sacks now. Four sacks for the Gators.
Well, if John Hoke wanted to send a message to Alex Brown, I would say message has been well received. T. Martin thinks he's okay on the bootleg. There was actually a guy there for Brown, but again, he's getting off the ball so quickly and getting to the quarterback. T. Martin had nothing he could do on that play. I think Tennessee better pay extra attention to Alex Brown because he single-handedly is creating a lot of problems for them.
Third and long again. 3rd and 16. Dante Stallworth in as the third wide out. The pass too hot to handle for Cedric Wilson. Then he got belted by Andre Davis.
I don't know how much Cedric wanted that pass, Sean. This was a good throw by T. Martin. Let's see if he took his eye off the ball. He knew Andre was coming. Maybe lost his concentration a little bit, but that's a ball that ordinarily Wilson would make the catch on.
Leverton to punt for the 8th time. And Rashay Caldwell standing at his own 15. Good punt. Caldwell caught it at the goal line and takes it out. And goes out of bounds at the 16. They're actually going to give him the 19-yard line. Looked like a generous spot. 54-yard punt and a 19-yard return by Rashay Caldwell, the redshirt freshman from Tampa, who went on quite an adventure.
Well, all I can say, it's a good thing that he's fast, because if he couldn't have got this out of the end zone, Steve Spurrier would have had an earful.
Nearly midway through the third quarter, Florida has the ball in a 16-point lead. Sean McDonough with Todd Blackledge and Michelle Tafoya at the Swamp. On first down, the handoff to Ernest Graham. And another flag thrown. The play stands. It's a gain of 8. The flag was thrown along the near sideline downfield. Holding the call against Spurrier's charges.
Holding on the offense. 10-yard penalty from the end of the run. Repeat first down.
Meanwhile, Philip Fulmer says this is the best Tennessee team that he's brought to the Swamp. As head coach, he played on the last Tennessee team to win here in Florida, 1971. Tennessee leading 6-0. Kurt Watson scored for the Vols on an 8-yard run. The Gators came back to tie the game at 13. Then a 99 3/4-yard drive, according to Coach Fulmer, capped on the Phil Pierce to Stan Trott game-winning touchdown pass. The Vols won 20-13. They've lost 6 since. It's not like people say, oh, it's been almost 30 years, but they've only played 6 times since.
And most of the guys that are on the field for Tennessee, I mean, the history is even shorter than that. I mean, you know, it's one of those things where it makes for good stories and it makes for good statistics, but really, you know, these guys, some of these players for Tennessee, they were here when they lost in '97, but it doesn't go any further than that for them.
Well, none of the current volunteer players were born in 1971. Philip Fulmer is on the team. He's now 49 years old. Johnson slipped through a wounded duck, and there's the big break they need from Dion Grant. Back in the game after a back injury required icing on the sideline. And what a return by Grant as well. All the way inside the 20 to about the 16-yard line. Johnson slipped as he took his drop and then threw a wobbly duck that Grant intercepted and ran back 34 yards.
Well, he threw a wobbly duck because of Eric Westmoreland. He ran right through the block of Ernest Graham and got right into the face of Doug Johnson. Doug Johnson could not get anything on the ball, and Deion Grant, in similar fashion to last year, with a big interception for Tennessee.
He's now had an interception in each of his last 4 regular season games. Had one in the opener this year against Wyoming. Has another tonight. Tennessee has the rushing edge, and Florida's committed more turnovers. Usually that's the formula for a Tennessee victory, the way this rivalry has gone. But Florida leads by 16. From the 15-yard line, the throwback screen. Cedric Wilson inside the 5. Down to the 2-yard line, where Lester Norwood prevented the touchdown.
Well executed little quick screen to Cedric Wilson. Watch the timing. T. Martin gets rid of the football. Look at those 3 linemen out in front. And Wilson did a nice job of letting the linemen set up their blocks, hesitating a little bit, and then getting up the field. Very well executed play. Steve Spurrier knows it.
6 catches for Cedric Wilson for 54 yards. First and goal. Jamal Lewis into the air, took off a long way from the goal line, and Keith Kelsey hit him while he was airborne. And surprise, surprise, a flag on the play.
I would guess this is offsides Florida, maybe lining up in the neutral zone. Take a look at Jamal Lewis trying to get over the top, met by Keith Kelsey.
Lewis has rushed for 76 yards tonight.
Half the distance to the goal. Repeat first down.
And you were right about the penalty. They'll move the ball inside the 1. Critical turnover by Florida, and Tennessee with a chance. They get right back into the contest. Crosby the fullback. The other fullback, Bartholomew, also into the game, leading the way for Jamal Lewis, who scores a touchdown.
Got to get the football over. Watch Jamal Lewis. The good springs. No penetration by Florida. That allowed him to get up and airborne. And T. Martin, who has played in a very physical ball game, a physically draining game, gets the touchdown. Doug Johnson knows now we got to go out and put some more points. We got to answer.
And Robert Loudermilk added the extra point. Interesting they didn't go for 2 there. They could have been within 8.
Have to get out of their offense at all.
Loudermilk, the short approach to the ball on a popped up kickoff handled by Bo Carroll. He already has a 50-yard return, the longest of his career, and he's back into Tennessee territory at the 41-yard line. So they probably kicked it short, trying to avoid just that, but Carroll still got his hands on the ball and brought it back 31 yards.
Well, you maybe try that to get it away from somebody or to catch Florida napping on their kickoff return, but Florida in great position, and it was overrun by Tennessee. You're thinking maybe they're not ready to make the catch. You might get a turnover on the kickoff, but a heads-up play by Bo Carroll, and Florida back in business on the 41-yard line.
Buck Fitzgerald made the tackle on special teams for the Vols. Head by 9, great field position for the Gators. And the quick swing to Darrell Jackson. Slicing across the field to pick up the first down at the 28-yard line. Will Overstreet took him down. Jackson starting to work on a big night. Next week, college football action. Many of you will see the battle in Tuscaloosa between Arkansas and number 18 Alabama, while others will see the Big East meeting between West Virginia and Syracuse from the Carrier Dome. It starts next Saturday at 3 Eastern time right here on CBS. 7 catches now for Darrell Jackson for 112 yards. He was in high school at Tampa Catholic. He caught 191 passes in his career for more than 4,500. This is Alex Willis with the catch and a touchdown but will it count?
I think it's going to be called offensive pass interference for a pick on Rashay Caldwell.
And I'm not sure they ever gave him the touchdown. The officials haven't always been clear with the signal tonight. It looked like he knocked the pylon over. You're right. Offensive pass interference.
I mean, you're not going to see a guy run this wide open against Tennessee. It's man-to-man coverage. Watch Rashay Caldwell come in and pick the inside defender. He's a young receiver. I mean, everybody does that, but you just have to really kind of be a little bit more discreet and just continue to run your pattern. There it is right there, and the wide open down the field. Good call by the officials. You know, everybody runs pick plays. You see them more down by the goal line, but you just have to continue to run through that defender like you're running a pass route. You can't show it like you're blocking. Defensive people call it pick plays. Offensive guys call them just little rub plays.
Yes.
Doesn't sound so bad.
7 penalties against Florida. Tennessee's been flagged 12 times. Oh, Caldwell never saw that pass coming. The Gator fans thought he was being interfered with by Dwayne Goodrich. And the sideline agreed. Doug Johnson down the field to argue with the officials along the sideline.
Well, what the official on the sideline was signaling was this was an uncatchable pass. That's why there was no penalty. There is contact. Caldwell does get behind Goodrich on the pump fake, but the ball is thrown out of bounds. And the official says you can't call a penalty because it was uncatchable.
Now 2nd down and long. 2nd and 25. Approaching 5 minutes left in the 3rd quarter. Florida leads 23-14. Graham runs past a blitz. Loses his helmet. Held onto the football as he was knocked down by Derek Edmonds at the 33-yard line.
Tennessee came with the perfect call. They came with a blitz, and the blitz ran right by Ernest Graham. Take a look. Here's Deion Grant coming on a safety blitz. He's going to run right by the ball carrier. He's in position. There's no one there to block him. He just got out of position, ran right by Ernest Graham, and another helmet on the ground. Was that 3 or 4?
Wow. Almost as many loose helmets as penalty flags tonight. Here comes another blitz. Johnson throws high. Jackson struggling for the first down. It'll be very close.
See, what has happened in this ball game, Sean, is that Tennessee expected coming in that they could get pressure on Doug Johnson with their front 4. If they could do that, then they could play more pass defense with their linebackers and cover people. But they have not been able to get pressure with just 4. So they've had to bring linebackers, or they've had to bring safeties, and that leaves man-to-man coverage. One-on-one, Darrell Jackson. There's no underneath coverage. And that puts a corner on an island out there. Andre Lott, that's a tough job. If you can't get to the quarterback when you blitz, you're going to have problems, and that's what happened right there.
It's 4th and 1. Jackson marked down near the 20, about a yard short of the first down, and Florida has called a timeout. A much more dependable field goal kicker these days, but Steve likes the touchdown, and he also likes the work in the classroom of our Rigid Tools scholar athlete, Cooper Carlisle. Rigid Tools' commitment to the investment of our future is shown today by donating $1,000 to the University of Florida's General Scholarship Fund.
You were talking about Florida in the red zone and how Steve Spurrier likes to go for touchdowns. I really think that that's why over the years, I mean, there's a little blip in the screen last year, but why over the years they've been so good in the red zone scoring touchdowns is because Steve attacks the end zone. A lot of coaches are very aggressive in their play calling going up between the 20s, but when they get in the red zone, they get conservative. They don't want to turn it over. They don't want to give up points. Steve Spurrier doesn't think that way. I mean, he'll settle for a field goal begrudgingly, but he attacks the end zone with the football, throwing the football, and that's why they've scored so many touchdowns in this decade.
The play clock is running with the Gators still on the sideline. They might run straight over the ball and run the play. 4:01 left in the 3rd. Florida by 9. 4th and 1. The pitch to Graham. looks like he has the first down. The Volunteers say fumble, and they're right. Graham lost it. Another turnover by the Gators. Their fourth.
Well, they had the first down, Sean. Graham had the first down easily. It was a quick count. They went with the toss with the lead by the fullback. Remember, Spurrier said that Ernest Graham has got a little bit of a habit of reaching the football forward for a first down. Let's see if he did that here or if it just pops out. Right at the end of the play, he is reaching the ball forward, and the ball came out before his knees were down. And that's what Steve told us about on Friday. He says he's got a habit of reaching that ball out and it fumbling.
Well, Tennessee trying to take advantage of another turnover. And the quick pass caught by David Martin. Just the second catch of the season for Martin, a big target at 6'4", 4 turnovers to 1. And Tennessee has capitalized on a couple of those turnovers for 14 points. All 14 of their points directly after turnovers. Andre Lott with the recovery of the Graham fumble. Martin picked up 7 with the reception. They think he's about to emerge into a big-time receiver. Brown's a big-time end tonight. 5 sacks for Florida, 3 for Alex Brown.
They moved Alex Brown to the other side that time. He's been working against the left tackle, Chad Clifton. This time he comes on Josh Tucker. Same result. He gets off the ball so quickly, the tackle can't get out of his stance. Now, Sean, I really think Tennessee needs to take more account of Alex Brown. They need to keep a tight end on him, or they need to use a running back to chip on him. Don't let him just go one-on-one on your tackles, because he's the only guy that's beating you in the pass rush.
Third down. And almost 10. Here comes Brown again, and he rips him down. That was reminiscent of 2 years ago when Peyton Manning couldn't complete his drop because they couldn't block the Florida front.
Did you see how quickly he was off? He was out of his stance and into the play before the lineman even got in position, and that's a good lineman. That's Cozy Coleman, the best offensive lineman on Tennessee's team. But Alex Brown is just timing the snap count and beating him to the punch.
Fourth down, 17. Leverton punts out of the end zone. They can't capitalize on that fumble. And the punt is muffed by Caldwell, who got it back. He called for a fair catch, but muffed the punt and fell on it at his own 48-yard line. The Gators very shaky with the football. Friday on CBS. Alex Brown, a sophomore from White Springs, Florida. And here comes the blitz, and there goes Graham running right past it for a first down to the Tennessee 40-yard line. Gain of 11 for Graham.
You spread them out, you make them defend the pass, and then you run the football. This is a blitz. And Ernest Graham does a nice job following the fullback. A great block by the fullback, Rob Roberts, picking up the blitzing safety or linebacker in there and allowing Graham to get upfield. Heads up play by Rob Roberts, the sophomore out of Dade City.
He's from a Gator family. Roberts and both parents attend the University of Florida. Flag down as Roberts led the way for Graham again. And you know, Roberts himself must love the University of Florida because he received an appointment to the United States Military Academy in West Point and turned down that opportunity to come here and play football. His family's had Florida season football tickets since 1946.
Chop block on the offense, 15 yards from the spot of the foul. He first down.
He's worked up a healthy sweat there on the sideline tonight.
Well, that's a costly penalty for his offense because they had some momentum going with the running game there. They caught Tennessee in a couple blitzes, but the chop block really sets them back on their side of the 50 now.
check out some scores at the bottom of your screen, and if you're just tuning in, you're going to see some scores along the way that will surprise you. We've already seen a couple.
Good bounce back win for Georgia Tech.
1 minute left, third quarter. First and 25 for the Gators, back in their own territory. The man is open, but Taylor had the ball sail over his head. Check that, Brian Hagebuck, the intended receiver, but Hagebuck couldn't run quite fast enough to get under that one.
One thing that I really like when I go and watch Florida practice, and I have never seen any other team in the country spend so much time and attention to detail as Steve Spurrier does with quarterbacks and receivers, just throwing one-on-one routes, just throwing against air, no defenders, just timing everything up. You know, if that route's supposed to be 14 yards, you better not go 15, you better not go 13. Everything is precise, and the timing, it's really fun to watch them just play catch on a Thursday afternoon.
4 wide receivers, none of them Travis Taylor, apparently still bothered by that ankle injury. So it's Alex Willis on the receiving end. Willis went to the same high school as Travis Taylor in Jacksonville, Ribault High School. When Willis was a senior, he played ahead of Travis Taylor, who was a junior. Alex said they had 4 talented seniors who all played wide receivers, so Taylor was a DB. Travis didn't move to wideout until the next year when Willis and the others departed. Willis was not highly recruited, walked on here. Taylor was after just 1 year playing wide receiver.
We love to hear those stories about guys who walk on and earn a scholarship because they work for it. Alex Willis has done that here at Florida.
Michelle Tafoya tells us that Travis Taylor will not return, but Willis is doing a great job filling the void created by the absence of his high school teammate. That's a first down. So they convert when they were facing 1st and 25 a moment ago. This is a gain of 20.
Watch the protection. Watch Graham pick up the most dangerous blitzer. There's a guy free, but he's coming from the furthest distance away. That allows Doug Johnson to get the football to Willis. Again, Tennessee can't get pressure just with their front 4. They have to blitz, and that makes them vulnerable in the secondary.
The end of the third quarter, the score, Florida 23 and Tennessee 14. We'll return to Ben Hill Griffin Stadium right after this message and a word from your local station. Florida has a 9-point lead as the fourth quarter begins, and they have it 1st and 10 at the Tennessee 27-yard line. Doug Johnson hands off to Ernest Graham, and he stumbles in the backfield. When the Gators have the lead after 3 quarters under Steve Spurrier, 91-1-1. The only loss was their last home loss to Auburn in 1994. That ended up 36-33.
I think that's what you call closing the deal. Steve knows how to close the deal.
Usually it's by going for the jugular. And a chance to deal a big blow to the Vols' comeback hopes here. Tennessee comes on a blitz. They haven't been able to get Johnson all night. He scrambled away, cuts up the field, and he's close to a first down. Looks to be a yard short at the 18-yard line. But Doug Johnson showing some nice running ability, and he's coming back from a broken left leg suffered in the Orange Bowl against Syracuse.
And Mike Krushek, the head coach at Central Florida, played against Drew Brees and Doug Johnson, and he liked Doug Johnson better as a drop-back passer. One of the things he thought he was a better athlete than Brees, and he shows some of that athleticism there. Maybe not the runner that T. Martin is, but made a nice heads-up play on that second down run.
3rd and 1. The pitch to Graham. And it appeared that he lunged ahead for the first down. Tempers flaring again, but the officials intervene. Dominique Stevenson made the stop on Graham, but it's a first down. Doug Johnson was playing a fine game against Syracuse in the Orange Bowl when he suffered a broken left fibula on a play that Steve Spurrier didn't like. He said it's okay to give the quarterback a shove when the ball is gone, but don't wrestle him down to the ground. And Johnson wound up missing all of spring practice because we mentioned was around all summer working out with his teammates. Going to measure. And now they're short. Well, where the chains were at the 18-yard line, he had the first down by 1.5 yards. But the chains weren't At least the little orange marker wasn't lined up properly, because as you see, he's inside the 17-yard line, but it's not a first down. They're going to go for it on 4th and inches.
Take a look at the end of the play. I'll guarantee you Ernest Graham's not going to reach the ball out like he did on that fumble earlier. He held it into his body. Came up a little bit short.
Graham the lone back. 4 wide receivers. Now Graham vacates. Johnson keeps. Wow, it's going to be very close. Interesting call. Because if it's a running play, it just about has to be Johnson, unless it's some sort of trickery with receivers running around in the backfield.
Well, that's why you think you can trick them. When you empty the backfield, they're thinking Florida never has shown quarterback draw or any kind of a quarterback designed run. Maybe we can fool them and sneak one in there.
Well, do you want to guess? Based on that spot, I don't think he got it.
Tennessee held him. I think it was a good heads-up defensive play by John Chavis's defense. They lost yardage.
Yes, they did. Needed to reach the 17 and didn't come close. That's a strange call.
It is a strange call. You're thinking Tennessee was stacked in there to stop the run, even though they put all kind of people out as wide receivers. Raynoch Thompson wasn't fooled. He was there to create the loss of yardage. And Steve has made some great calls tonight, but that one backfired a little bit.
Well, 57 remaining in Gainesville. Well, twice in the last few minutes, Steve Spurrier decided to go for it on 4th and short at the 20 or inside the 20. Graham fumbled on the first try, and then Johnson stopped on this one. Play action pass. Martin throws, dropped through the hands of David Martin. And we bring that up because back in the old days, or in recent times, when Florida didn't have a dependable field goal kicker, you could understand why Steve would frequently go for it on 4th and short. But now he has a kicker in Jeff Chandler, who in his career is 14 out of 14 from inside the 40. So it's a much surer bet on the 2 field goal tries that he at least had to consider passed up.
But I guess old habits die hard. You know, Steve has always been one that would rather go for touchdowns, rather put his team in position to get 7 than 3.
T. Martin 12 out of 29, and that pitch was caught on a terrific play by Lewis. It was high and away from Lewis, and he snared it with the right hand, but he still slipped down right near the line of scrimmage.
Tennessee is very lucky here. Alex Brown almost created a turnover again. He's off the ball so quickly that Jamal Lewis had to cut that play back inside, and he almost wasn't able to get the pitch off clean. Alex Brown again took off so quickly it disrupted the running play.
Lined up across from Josh Tucker, was a senior, the first-year starter. Tucker's a very intelligent player, but not as athletic as some of their other offensive linemen. The pass too high. Looking for Dante Stallworth, the redshirt freshman. Robert Cromartie had coverage, and that's a terrible possession for Tennessee. In the 4th quarter, down by 9.
Alex Brown has been a terror tonight. Comes up a little gimpy at the end of this play. I don't know if he's cramping or if he twisted his ankle a little bit, but he has been a real player tonight for the Gator defense.
David Leverton can't get the punt off.
Movement up front. Another penalty on Tennessee.
And it ties the school record for penalties in a game. This the 13th, the 6th time in Tennessee history that's happened.
False start on the offense. 5-yard penalty. 4th down.
Well, we talked at the top. In the 90s, it's a sure thing. When you outrush the opponent in this rivalry, you win. If you commit more turnovers, you lose. Tennessee has outrushed Florida. Florida's committed more turnovers. But it's the penalties tonight that are really undoing those 2 advantages for Tennessee. Leverton drives it out of there.
Good kick.
Darrell Jackson back to his 40. And he returns it 8 yards to the 48. The 51-yard punt by Leverton. 12:01 remaining. Florida with the ball up 9. 1st and 10, Florida. Gators at their own 48. My goodness.
This one's going to be on Florida.
These two teams can't even line up without a flag flying.
A lot of movement up front. The linebackers moving in and out of gaps for Tennessee and just created a jump up front for Florida.
That's one of the few things the front has done wrong. John Chavis, the defensive coordinator for Tennessee, thought they could get to Johnson, but they haven't had a sack yet.
And the players we talked to felt they thought they could rattle him if they could get to him. But they have not been able to get to him with only 4 people rushing.
They bring Moore here, and he throws to the outside. Terrific catch by Darrell Jackson. He won the battle in the air from Andre Lott. There's John Chavis, 5 years now as the defensive coordinator of this Tennessee program.
It just really puts him in a difficult situation. They had 13 sacks against Wyoming, 0 sacks tonight. And so what they've had to do is they have to bring linebackers or safety blitzes to get pressure.
Second and short. Ernest Graham has the first down to the 40, where he was tackled by Dominique Stevenson. Graham, Cape Coral, Florida. His high school pal was Teddy Dupay, now on the University of Florida basketball team, and they room together here at the University of Florida. Dupay, the all-time leading scorer in Florida high school basketball history. There's Graham again. They're trying to run some clock and gain yardage. Let's learn more about Ernest Graham from Michelle.
Well, Sean, under his jersey, Graham is wearing a T-shirt with a poem he wrote, and it's hand-printed on that shirt. It's about his best friend in high school basketball team, Corey Jordan, who died 2 years ago in an accidental shooting. Graham writes, "Your death, while tragic and hard to come to grips with, made me deal with life's responsibilities and take advantage of every dream I'm given and every step I take. I miss you, and you are my inspiration." Sean.
Thank you, Michelle. Graham got nothing that time. Dominique Stevenson made the tackle again. It'll be third down.
Just to go back one more point about what Florida has forced Tennessee into tonight. You know, Tennessee likes to play man-to-man defense. They think they've got the people that can do that. That works against a lot of people in the country, but it is very difficult to do that against Florida because of how good their wide receivers are. This is a very strong group. It's not just Travis Taylor. They've got 4 or 5 good receivers, and they find your weaknesses in the man-to-man.
Johnson, the veteran quarterback, letting the play clock run down to 3 before taking the snap. On 3rd and 6, he throws off the hands of Sean Ellis, the defensive end, running along the line of scrimmage to bat that down. Well, Florida now has the edge in rushing in this game. So that stat, if Florida wins, could hold true again tonight, as it has every year in this decade.
You see the pressure, and again, Doug Johnson is not the kind of quarterback that's going to beat you out of the pocket. He's not the kind of guy that's going to beat you when he throws on the run. He's going to beat you just taking that ball quickly in the shotgun, standing there and firing it downfield.
Alan Ryan, the punt. He took over after Wazalewski had a short punt. Ryan trying to drop it near the goal line. And will they rule that into the end zone, or are they going to give the Gators credit for the downing near the 1? Apparently, the ball did not go into the end zone. The officials aren't quite sure. They're going to mark it down to the 2-yard line. Well, that player who touched the ball and knocked it back was clearly in the end zone. On first down from the end zone, the pass batted down. Guess who? Alex Brown again, knocking down the pass of T. Martin. Let's go back to the punt, because as we saw in the replay before we went to the commercial break, the Florida player who knocked the ball back was clearly in the end zone, but that is a difference between the rules of the NFL, when a player cannot break the plane of the end zone and touch the ball to down it, but as long in college football as the ball doesn't break the plane of the end zone, a player in the end zone can tip it back.
Marquand Manuel tipped the ball back. The ball had never broken the plane, and Tennessee starts on their own 2.
And after the incompletion, 2nd and 10. Martin, a good fake, but he has his man, the tight end, John Finlayson. First down out to the 16-yard line. Let's check in with Tim.
Sean, conventional wisdom is that the emotions are always key in college football. If you lose a game early, do you have emotional fallout? Arizona lost to Penn State early. They're having emotional fallout. Kerry Carter with one of his 2 touchdowns in the second quarter. And Michigan, by the way, is leading 18-13 with Syracuse driving with 3 minutes to play.
Wow.
Very difficult to explain some of the scores we've seen today.
Last year,
big surprises.
Last year was Arizona State that came into the year with the great expectations and fell flat, and maybe it's Arizona this year.
Martin throws too high. Go back to the question we asked relatively early in the 3rd quarter. Can Tennessee stay with the running game that set up the play action pass attack that is their formula for offensive success? They do it now with 9:09 left.
I think with this drive, maybe they still can. If they get beyond this offensive series, they may not be able to. The other thing against them right now is they're deep in their own territory, so they have to be a little bit conservative. The bootleg throw for the first down was a huge play by T. Martin out of his own end zone.
Career 57% passer, well below 50% tonight. Under siege all night. Great catch on the far sideline by David Martin. Using that big frame that we talked about earlier. They expect him to be a star. He's now a junior and has just 7 career receptions, but part of that is because he's been battling injuries throughout his time at Knoxville.
And they just keep waiting for him to emerge. They think he has everything that would take to be a big physical receiver like a Carl Pickens type guy. Nice catch there by Martin.
They're out from the 2 to the 27. They have Travis Henry and Jamal Lewis in the game at the same time, but it's Martin scrambling for a yard, perhaps 2. Eugene McCaslin put the hit on him. Well, T. Martin and Eugene McCaslin overcome a lot of adversity. Martin grew up in a very tough neighborhood in Mobile, Alabama. Grew up around violence. He says he had at least 12 of his friends who were lost to murder or accident or illness. Lived in 23 different places. Eugene McCaslin lost his father when he was 9 in a truck driving accident. He had 3 younger siblings he had to serve as a role model for. Brown has Martin again.
You know what, Sean? I do not understand why Tennessee continues to single block Alex Brown. Nobody else on the defensive front for Florida has created a problem except Alex Brown. Here he is, no help. Josh Tucker, the right tackle, is helpless trying to block Alex Brown. Why not have a back or somebody else in there to help your tackle against a guy who is clearly in the zone rushing the passer? Alex Brown is the only guy on Florida who is continually and consistently giving fits for T. Martin.
As we said earlier, Tucker, a new starter this year, very intelligent young man on the field and in the classroom, but not as physically gifted as some of their other offensive linemen. The ball was snapped. And now a flag thrown. The ball was lifted up by the center, but Martin was still standing there.
You know what happened here, I think, Sean? Centers a lot of times are taught, and you work on, if you feel movement into the neutral zone, you snap the ball to get the quick 5-yard penalty. But what I think T. Martin, he was trying to audible to change the play and was not ready for a snap at that point. We'll have to see how they sort this out. But Spencer Riley, I think, snapped the ball trying to get the penalty against Florida. T. Martin was trying to make an audible.
There were 2 fouls. Dead ball, snap infraction on the offense, 5-yard penalty. Dead ball, personal foul on the defense, 15 yards, automatic first down.
Boy, does that hurt Florida.
John Hoke expressing his displeasure, and then he almost fell over backwards.
See, I don't even think T. Martin's hands were under the center. I think Spencer Riley snapped the ball, and there was nobody there to catch it. See?
Yes.
Look, there's the ball. T. Martin's hands were out. That's the penalty on Tennessee. Now, is the penalty on Warren there?
supposed to do when they see the ball snaps? Not
You
move.
can't hear. Obviously, you can't hear. Tough call against Florida.
Martin throws incomplete. Through the hands of Eric Parker. 2nd and 10. Well, the flags were already thrown before that.
It was
pushing and
Gerard
shoving.
Warren that they called the foul on, 61. He was just continuing to battle with Spencer Riley. That's a tough call. I mean,
Sure
it's
is.
almost impossible to hear the whistle. Some guys are moving, some guys aren't. Two
Spencer
penalties
Riley.
called, but Florida definitely had the worst one of the two.
Riley's a veteran center, 34 career starts along the offensive line. He's played all up and down the line. Movement again. And that's a couple of times tonight that the flinching by the defensive line of Florida has caused reciprocation by the Tennessee offensive lineman.
Well, Alex Brown is causing a whole lot of flinching up there. That time he was back on the other side going against Chad Clifton. And the offensive tackles, they're not getting off the ball quick because of the sound. And there it is right there. Chad Clifton just trying to get in position to block Alex Brown. Started early.
And as you pointed out, look again on that play as it was trying to develop. No back in there to help on Brown. Back was running somewhere else. 2nd and 15. Under 7 minutes left. Florida leads by 9. Martin throws. It's a short gain to the 36-yard line. Benny Alexander made the tackle on Eric Parker, and here's Tim.
Sean, they're not going to be happy in Syracuse with this. 4th down play, Troy Nunes at quarterback. Watch the contact between James Witten, number 5 of Michigan, and the receiver, Pat Woodcock. Oh, my. Most people thought it should have been interference, and so did Paul Pasqualoni. Big Ten wins over the Big East for the 2nd time today.
Well, it's interesting. Tennessee won the ball game at Syracuse last year at the beginning of the season when they did get a controversial pass interference call. Called against Syracuse. Here's a long pass to Parker. He stayed on his feet, and he's down to the 18-yard line. That penalty last year at Syracuse was on a 4th and 7 in the last moments with Tennessee needing to convert or lose the game, and the pass interference call was against Syracuse. Tennessee went in to score and win.
Quick off the line of scrimmage. Benny Alexander out of position. Looked like he thought he was getting help behind him. Kind of turned him over, thinking there was a safety there to help. A bust on the coverage, it looked as though, for Benny Alexander, and Eric Parker comes up with the big catch for Tennessee.
This is the 10th play of the drive. They're at the 19-yard line. They've scored both times. They've been inside the red zone. They've scored touchdowns. Martin lofts it up out of the back of the end zone.
Threw it away. They obviously had something that they had set up to try to get rid of the ball quick. It wasn't there, and T. Martin just got rid of it. There's Randy Sanders again. He's still new on the job, really, offensive coordinator. First game, the Fiesta Bowl for the national championship. He won that. Second game, Wyoming. He won that. Tonight, he was behind at halftime, had to make some adjustments. They came out, they got another score. They need a score here.
On 2nd and 10, a big hole for Lewis inside the 10 and down near the 3-yard line. 1st and goal, Tennessee, with 5.5 remaining. 16 yards on the pickup for Jamal Lewis.
This is one of the things that Randy Sanders and the offensive coaches feel at Tennessee. Jamal Lewis, you may tackle him in the first quarter. You may come up and put a hat on him early in the game, but in the 4th quarter, when the game's on the line, he is not a fun guy to tackle.
Florida has had a number of chances to take command in this game. Now Tennessee threatening to get very close. Lewis up and over and in for a touchdown.
Lester Norwood took a real shot at the end of that play, thanks to Jamal Lewis. Weary pulling out in front, the fullback Crosby, and Jamal Lewis just hurdles himself into the end zone right through Lester Norwood.
Loudermilk attempting the extra point, trying to get the balls within 2, and he has it. A 4-yard touchdown run by Lewis. Bigger and stronger than last year. Spent the time he was out rehabbing the knee injury in the weight room. He can bench press 470 pounds, and he delivered a blow to Norwood. .5:10 remaining as Tennessee kicks off. The touchdown and extra point. After a 97-yard drive, the Volunteers are within 2. And Rashad Caldwell's in trouble and hammered at the 14 by Stephen Marsh, a freshman from Wingate, North Carolina. And these two teams are putting it to each other. Monday on CBS, get your motor running for a wild season premiere. Kevin James and Jerry Stiller are back and riding high in the season premiere of The King of Queens, Monday at 8, 7 Central on CBS, America's most watched network. Game's been a little bit physical.
You're not kidding. You talk about D-cleaters. We've had about 4 or 5 D-helmeters.
Johnson's going to throw. Pop. Jackson trying to break away. Darrell Jackson out to the 35-yard line. He's working on a huge night. That's a 21-yard gain for Jackson.
Go back to the touchdown. I said if you're a safety, you're going to get tired of tackling Jamal Lewis. Watch Lester Norwood just get drilled in the end zone. Barely hung on to his helmet, but I mean, Jamal Lewis he's a powerful guy. You mentioned the bench press. He's listed at 225, but he's actually more like 235. Big man.
10 catches now for Darrell Jackson for 163 yards. Graham trying to run left, and he's stacked up. Eric Westmoreland pulled the ball out. It's still free, and now a whistle before the recovery. You heard the whistle blow before anybody pounced on it. And they're going to call that down, and if they do, that's a very late whistle. How long did we see that ball loose before we heard the whistle? It might be the right call, but it came very late.
I thought I heard an early whistle. I thought they called it down before the ball came out, but a fortunate call for Florida, no question.
2nd and 12. Now Robert Gillespie in. Graham putting the ball on the ground. Spurrier gave him the hook. Johnson going deep, and it is intercepted again. Deion Grant out of bounds at midfield.
We talked about the incredible range that Deion Grant has, the amount of field he can cover. They're trying to throw to the wide side of the field to Darrell Jackson. The ball is thrown too far inside, and Deion Grant, again, he's been banged up tonight, but still comes up with the interception.
He went limping to the sideline, didn't try to get more out of that return. 5 turnovers again tonight for the Gators. They committed 5 in the loss. Last year at Knoxville, 3 interceptions thrown by Johnson. And bear in mind that Tennessee has not kicked a field goal this year. They've only attempted 1, and it was a bad miss. Jamal Lewis down to the 42-yard line. Keith Kelsey tripped him up, so that fumble or non-fumble is a moot point now, because on the very next play, Grant intercepts. The only difference, a little bit of field position.
When you live by the sword, you die by the sword, throwing the football.
2 interceptions tonight for Deion Grant. That's Fred White celebrating the latest. 99 yards rushing now for Jamal Lewis. On the verge of his 12th career game of 100 yards or more. This is his 15th career game. Martin slipped, completing his drop. We did have light rain here on and off throughout the day, and the field is a little bit slippery, particularly in the middle. Time for the CBS Sports Line stat of the game. Turnovers and points off turnovers. Every team that's had the most turnovers in this rivalry in the 90s has lost. Florida right now clinging to a 2-point lead with 3 minutes left. For complete college football coverage, go to cbs.sportsline.com.
Huge play right now. 3rd and 4. One more look at Deion Grant's second interception of the ball game. And probably a good timeout call. This is a huge, huge play.
After the huge play made by Grant, who developed a well-earned reputation for making big plays. Timeout Tennessee, facing 3rd down and 4 at the Florida 42. And Todd, this is probably 4-down territory with this little time remaining.
Yeah, definitely. I would say, I mean, they're obviously not in field goal range. Even if they gain some of the yardage here, they've got to get a couple first downs to even have a chance to kick a field goal.
I don't think Coach Fulmer wants it to come down to a field goal with the untested Loudermilk, the place kicker. Nothing on that play. Jamal Lewis ran right into Teddy Sims.
What a great play by Teddy Sims. Jamal Lewis, the best running back, I think, in college football. Tennessee's favorite play, power football, isolation football behind the fullback, and Teddy Sims up for the physical challenge on this one.
And they are going to go for it on 4th down.
Great stand-up tackle by Teddy Sims. They better block Alex Brown here, I'll guarantee you.
4th and 3. They're 1 for 3 on 4th down tonight. Huge play with 2:12 remaining. Timeout with 1 on the play clock. And now with the burning of these 2 timeouts, they're really just about in a must-make situation, because if they don't make it, Florida gets the ball back. Tennessee, without timeouts, isn't going to be able to stop the clock. One timeout left for Tennessee. Trying to be the first visiting team to win here at the Swamp since 1994, when Auburn, on a Patrick Nix to Frank Sanders pass, pulled out a late victory over the Gators 36-33. Since then, 29 straight wins, the longest current active winning streak, 3 more than their heated rivals, the Seminoles. That streak's in jeopardy right now. Tennessee needs a field goal to take the lead, but they first need to convert this 4th and 3.
Last year in the Fiesta Bowl, probably the most significant play call that Randy Sanders made was a 4th down and 1 or 2 pass play that they went for it, and he threw it to the fullback. It was a huge play, a real gutsy call in his first game as the offensive coordinator. He's got another tough call right now with 4th and 3 in the game on the line. Keep an eye on the fullback, Crosby, slipping out into the flat.
Deafening noise in the Swamp. The pitch to Lewis. He has a long way to go. He isn't close. Back to the line of scrimmage, and that's all. Florida takes over on downs. And that much maligned defense has saved Steve Spurrier's offense tonight. 5 turnovers, but the defense has risen up.
They've overcome the turnovers. They've overcome the inexperience. And they have come to play tonight. They gave it to Jamal Lewis, their best player. He tried to cut it back inside, but too many blue jerseys there. And Steve Spurrier needs to go over and give John Hoke a big high five, because this defense has played tonight.
Well, both coaches are going to have questions to answer after this game. They did go to their best player, but that's 3, almost 4 yards to go. Kind of a slow developing play on the pitch out there. Steve Spurrier gambled on a couple of 4th downs. He had Johnson throwing a moment ago, and it contributed to the turnover.
You know, they had the wide side of the field. They wanted to put the ball in the hands of Jamal Lewis and just give him a place to run. He thought he could cut it back in for the first down, but too many blue jerseys. Good pursuit by the Gators.
And they have Gillespie with the fumble problems of Graham. The ball carrier, he surges out to the 48. Well, Tennessee in just about the same situation it was in last year when they got a miracle against Arkansas. Arkansas, like Florida, in the last minutes trying to run out the clock when Clint Sterner, the quarterback, stumbled and fumbled, and Tennessee took advantage and went down and scored the game winner. That was one of the plays that critics of Tennessee point to as the reason why the Vols were lucky to win the national championship. And Philip Fulmer says you have to be lucky if you're going to win the championship, and you see the improvement of the Florida defense tonight.
Well, you do. I mean, when teams that win championships, they do get lucky. When Florida won their national championship, they were lucky at the end of the year. They lost to Florida State in the last regular season game. They got a chance, as fate would have it, to play them again in the Sugar Bowl. I mean, that happens every year virtually.
Well, Nebraska, when they split the title with Michigan, they got that ball kicked up in the air in the end zone at Missouri. That was extremely fortunate. Last year, Tennessee had the pass interference play at Syracuse. Very controversial. We talked about the Arkansas fumble, which was lucky. Even Philip Fulmer says that.
Let's go back to that 4th down play. I want to show you something. When you put the ball in the back's hands like they did with Jamal Lewis, you give him the option to cut it back. But watch, the surge looks like they're going to try to take this ball outside, but Jamal Lewis chooses not to take it outside, but to cut it back inside. In retrospect, maybe not a great decision by Jamal Lewis to cut back inside.
Gillespie bounces off the pile. He's short of a first down by about 2.5 yards. And now a 3rd down upcoming, and a must stop for Tennessee without any timeouts. Another first down should ice it for the Gators.
You mentioned it, Sean. They had to burn a couple timeouts. That, you know, it really hurt their opportunity to manage the clock here and at least give their offense one more shot at it.
We'll let the play clock run down to 1 and call a timeout. 1:15 remaining. Tuesday on CBS, JAG, America's #1 action drama, takes you to the most dangerous place on earth. Catch David James Elliott and Catherine Bell in the season premiere of JAG Tuesday on CBS. It's been a wild night in the swamp. Florida took the lead on a field goal by Jeff Chandler. Tennessee had the lead briefly after T. Martin's 7-yard run. Chandler another field goal to get Florida back within 1. And Chandler's 3rd field goal put Florida on top. And they've led ever since. It was 16-7 at the half after Darrell Jackson's 11-yard reception. The lead grew to 23-7. Rashae Caldwell from 4 yards from Johnson. But then Lewis scored over the top to make it a 9-point game. Lewis again airborne from 4 yards to make it a 2-point game. Moments ago, Tennessee stopped on 4th down and 3 at the Florida 42. Now they're trying to stop Florida, putting the game away on this 3rd down. 3rd and 3 from midfield. Gillespie, all kinds of room outside. He cut back to stay in bounds. That should do it for the Gators. 23 yards to the 27-yard line.
Tennessee guessing inside run. They pinched everything on the inside. And a nice call by Steve Spurrier, and a nice job of running by Gillespie. As you said, staying in bounds, turning back inside. Don't stop the clock for Tennessee. Keep it rolling. Get
all
the
they
first
need to do
down.
now is take a knee.
Yep.
I don't know what all the commotion is on the sideline. This should be a very easy play call, and that's what they're setting up to do now. Johnson takes a knee. So Florida, which won 5 in a row, head-to-head with Tennessee before last year's loss, will they get 6 out of 7 against the Vols. And if the Vols thought this would be the victory at last at the Swamp that gives them the respect they've been looking for, it won't happen tonight.
John Hoke said he normally is a great sleeper, but he woke up Thursday morning or Friday morning about 4:30 a.m. seeing plays. He said something's up, something's different about this game. He should sleep well tonight because his defense played a great football game. And so did Doug Johnson.
Florida survives 5 turnovers, and the longest home winning streak in the nation is now 30. And Tennessee sees the nation's longest overall winning streak ended at 14 in a row. First loss ever as starting quarterback for T. Martin. And let's go down to Michelle.
All right, with Steve Spurrier, coach, we know in your first 2 games you didn't show a whole lot defensively, but what a dramatic turnaround tonight. How do you explain it?
Michelle, our defense was sensational. John Holt, the defensive coaches, had a super plan. Our kids played their hearts out. This is one of the most frustrating games I've ever coached. We missed all those 4th and 1s. It looked like we had a chance to put them away, and then it looked like they were going to win the game. So really proud of our defense. Really happy.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Sean?
The battle for supremacy continues in the Southeastern Conference.